Chapter 632. It was rare for Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger to see abandon like this. They could not help but think to themselves that it was no wonder that abandon was ranked third on the primrose list. His list could be said to be devastatingly beautiful. Yunsheng could not help but tease him. Abandon, you should smile more. You look much better when you smile. Abandon's long eyelashes fluttered slightly when he heard that, and he stole a glance at Yunsheng. Yunsheng could not help but chuckle when she heard the reason behind Gufeng's draw. The two dimples by her lips were very vivid, just like two butterflies. If you like it when I smile, I'll smile more in the future, Abandon said softly in his heart. His gaze was so gentle that it could drip water. In fact, he had become much gentler than before after he met Yunsheng. If it were in the past, he would never have imagined that he would be able to make friends with anyone and talk to them casually. Ling, and Gufeng saw Qi's change, but Yunsheng was the only one who was fooling around with Qi, oblivious to the change. Yunsheng is so slow-witted. Linger and Gufeng lamented in their hearts. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Their hearts skipped a beat, and Linger immediately looked away. Gufeng's eyes dimmed when he saw that. Abandon was not the only one who was slow-witted. When would she understand his feelings for Linger? Ah, so you're saying that you didn't use any other spells and only relied on the celestial sphere of light to achieve a draw. Yunsheng suddenly thought of something after teasing Abandon. Gufeng, you said that you didn't use any other spells and only used the celestial sphere of light as a defense? If I remember correctly, you could only last 15 minutes with the celestial sphere of light in the past. But now, you can last for a day? Yunsheng noticed something unusual. The celestial sphere of light was an esoteric spell that Gufeng had learned when he was a magic shooter. Since it was an esoteric spell, it consumed a lot of energy. After all, esoteric spells were even more important than advanced spells among mages. That was in the past. Now, the range and duration of the celestial sphere of light are increasing. Especially after listening to you and participating in the competition, I realize that I'm getting more familiar with the celestial sphere of light, and the energy consumption is decreasing. Gufeng thought for a moment and lowered his voice. He said mysteriously, I feel like I'm about to break through. Cough. Dongwang Ling was currently drinking water. When she heard those words, she immediately spurted out the water that she was drinking. I thought you could only rely on healing to increase your cultivation. How can he break through just by taking a beating? Dongwang Ling felt that it was unfair. It was no wonder that Dongwang Linger felt that it was unfair. She had risked her life in the Yellow Wings competition zone and was almost crippled by Lu Qingqing, that eight-clawed woman. Yet, she had only improved a little. I don't know either. I just feel that the duration and range of my light celestial sphere have increased a lot recently. Especially for today's competition. If it wasn't because the judge couldn't hold himself back and declared that it was a draw, I could at least last another night. Gufeng was very confident in his magic. Let's wait and see. If you make a breakthrough before Feng Tian and Yi Baiming, the continent's elite camp will vomit blood. Yunsheng encouraged Gufeng. To celebrate, let's go out and have a meal. I haven't eaten meat for a month. Dongwang Linger looked at Yunsheng with a pitiful expression. Because the members of Group 13 were all prodigals who didn't know how to manage money after entering the city, Yunsheng was the one who had the final say on their food and clothing. Now that the monthly bonus was given, they could afford to have a luxurious meal. Let's go to the food pavilion. I heard that we can eat the meat of rank 8 demonic beasts there. Yunsheng was very generous this time. Her friends cheered and went to the food pavilion. Did you guys get rich? All right, today is the day of the monthly bonus. Did you guys win a lot of money in the Yellow Wings competition zone? Gufeng looked at the menu after arriving at the food pavilion. Because they weren't in the same competition zone and Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger were mysterious, Gufeng and she didn't know how they were doing in the competition zone. We didn't win the competition zone. I found a part-time job to help Treasure Boat refurbish weapons and magic tools. Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger blinked. The two of them tacitly didn't reveal their results. It would be more shocking if they announced that they were the Flame Emperors a year later. Yun Sheng gave a simple explanation of what had happened during the day and also briefly mentioned Chu Yu's identity. Since she's from Treasure Boat, it shouldn't be a big problem. Qi and Gu Feng felt that this was a good idea. How's the situation with the others in the arena? Yun Sheng casually asked. She had been engrossed in the competition and didn't pay attention to the other competition zones. Actually, she was a little curious. How was Night Fox's competition? She wondered how he fared compared to Feng Tian. Everyone is in the Yellow Wings competition zone, but most of them are in different divisions. Qi met a contestant from the mainland's warrior elite camp, and Qi won. Gu Feng didn't forget to ask around during the competition. Because he had saved many people in the mainland's warrior elite camp, he was able to find out the most information. As Yin Sheng had expected, Yi Baiming and Feng Tian's battle results were the best. Both of them had maintained the record of complete victories so far. However, the other record holder was Chen Lianer. This came as a great surprise to both Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger. Chen Lianer is actually so strong. Her strength has indeed improved very quickly during this period of time. She defeated her opponents quickly in the first few rounds. Right now, she's a popular candidate to become the fighting king after Yi Baiming and Feng Tian. Gu Feng had seen Chen Lianer's matches. Chen Lianer had even used advanced wind-type magic. It seemed that her strength was at least on par with Qi's. The others didn't know, but Yin Xing knew best. Chen Lianer's abnormality was probably related to the Octoterra artifact on her. However, one thing was for sure. That artifact was definitely incomplete, and Chen Lianer hadn't made the artifact recognize her as its master. Otherwise, she wouldn't have only displayed her current strength. How did the two of you perform in the Yellow Wings competition zone? Qi asked. Well, we didn't embarrass the mainland's warrior elite camp. Yin Sheng and Dongwang Linger chuckled. At about the same time, Chen Lianer and her mage companions walked out of the Heaven's Wings arena. Chapter 633. Lianer, you won again. You must have gotten a lot of bonus this month, right? The accompanying female mage fawned on her. When Chen Lianer was in the magic elite camp, she was sought after by many male students because of her beauty and strength. At that time, many female students in the camp were very disdainful of her. But ever since she came to the Heaven's Wings arena, she was like a fish in water. She had been winning since the first match. If it weren't for the abnormal genius Feng Tian in this team, Chen Lianer would have been the leader of this trial team. It's only 100,000 gold coins. It's a pity that I don't have many matches. Otherwise, I could still compete in this monthly tournament. It's only 10 consecutive victories. My goal is to be the fighting king, Chen Lianer said proudly. With that mysterious bracelet in hand, Chen Lianer was very confident of winning. The number of participants in the Earth's Wings arena was fewer than the Yellow Wings arena, and the corresponding number of matches was also much fewer. Therefore, 50 consecutive victories seemed to be much less than 100 consecutive victories in the Yellow Wings arena. But in fact, the difficulty was about the same as the Yellow Wings arena. Chen Lianer firmly believed that as long as she had that strange bracelet in hand, she would definitely be able to achieve better results. But Lianer, your next opponent is Feng Tian. Aren't you worried? The female mage beside her asked. Chen Lianer and Feng Tian's matches were in the same arena. The two of them had not crossed paths in the previous rounds. In the newly announced match, Chen Lianer and Feng Tian would meet. It's just Feng Tian. How powerful can he be? Chen Lianer was full of confidence. The outside world was rumored to be very powerful, but she did not see how powerful he was. Just then, they passed by the treasure boat. When the female mage beside her saw this, she hurriedly flattered, Lianer, if you continue like this, you will soon break through to become a sky mage. Maybe you will be the first one to break through in a magic elite camp. Why don't we enter the treasure boat and see what soul stones are suitable for your magic scepter? These words struck a chord in Chen Lianer's heart. She also felt that if there were no accidents, she would definitely break through in a year's time. Chen Lianer glanced at the treasure boat and was dazzled by the luxurious style of the building. She had long heard of the name of Skywing City's treasure boat. However, she had been busy with the tournament and hadn't had the chance to visit it. She happened to be free today and had also received a bonus. Perhaps she could go and take a look. Chunlian was the former crown princess of Zhou State. Her family background was not bad. Naturally, she had seen countless treasures and artifacts. When she was still the crown princess, Yi Belian had secretly brought her to Zhou State's royal treasury in order to please her. However, even when she arrived at the treasure boat, she couldn't help but feel that her horizons were broadened. The Skywing City was truly one of the poles of the continent. There were many more treasures in the treasure boat than in Zhou State's treasure vault. However, the price of each item was also very high. This was also related to the origin of the treasure boat. There were many experts in Skywing City, and most of these experts had only 2 choices when they arrived at Skywing City. Otherwise, they would spend all their wealth and buy a house in the area. When these people did not have enough money, they would sell their artifacts and treasures for money. The other group of people would fight in the arena. They would either lose their lives in the arena or lose everything. Naturally, these people's belongings would end up in the hands of the treasure boat. The treasure boat would be bought at a low price and sold at high price. Naturally, money would roll in. No matter how noble Chunlian status was, she was only an ordinary sacred magician. All of her belongings had been handed over to Elder Hellion. Her performance in the Earthwings arena was also very ordinary. After a month, her bonus was only 100,000 gold coins. In the treasure boat, she couldn't afford to buy any high-level magical beast soul stones. Chunlian couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. However, she wasn't willing to walk out empty-handed. Thus, she simply suggested that they take a look at the artifact pavilion. It was at this moment that Chunlian noticed an inconspicuous stone on a display table on the treasure boat. When she saw the stone, Chunlian's heart skipped a beat. This was because the appearance of the stone was exactly the same as the missing part of her bracelet. If it weren't for the fact that there were other people beside her, she really would have immediately taken out that stone to see if it was the missing piece of her bracelet. After Chunlian obtained that old bracelet, she noticed that a part of it was missing. It was also because of that her bracelet always worked intermittently. If this stone was really a perfect match for that bracelet, then it would be very difficult for her to find a suitable stone. Who knew what kind of terrifying magic would be unleashed by that repaired bracelet? Chunlian suppressed her excitement and called the shop assistant over. "How much is this stone?" Chunlian inquired. That shop assistant happened to be the one who had received Yunsheng earlier. When he saw Chunlian, he muttered in his heart, "What's going on today? Why are there so many beautiful guests on the treasure boat?" However, although the lady in front of him was beautiful, she was still a little lacking compared to the 2 women he had met during the day. The shop assistant looked at the item that Chunlian was pointing at. He couldn't help but grumble inwardly. Why is it this stone again? What's the value of that stupid stone? Why are the 2 women asking for it? It turned out that after Yunsheng and Manager Chu had agreed, the shop assistant had originally wanted to keep the stone. Who knew that he would coincidentally encounter the failure of Marshal Saint Feng's treasure saber? The shop assistant was so busy that he actually forgot about this matter, not to mention keeping the stone that was worth 5 million. As a matter of fact, while he was not paying attention, another customer had taken a fancy to it. Chunlian's sweet voice just happened to fall into the ears of a young master who was buying things at the side. That young man was about 25 or 26 years old and was dressed in luxurious clothes. Beside him was a bare-chested woman. He looked in the direction of the voice and coincidentally saw Chunlian's appearance. Once he saw that the other party was an outstanding beauty, that young master's eyes lit up. He ignored the hostile gaze of the woman beside him and sized up Chunlian. A lustful light flashed across his eyes. Chunlian was already used to the admiring gazes around her. She even felt a bit of joy towards the admiration of this kind of man. She pretended not to notice and asked her own question. "Lady, the price of this item is 5 million gold coins." The person on the treasure boat replied respectfully. "What, 5 million? Chunlian didn't expect that this unremarkable stone would cost 5 million. This was a sky-high price. Even if she took back the treasures that she had left with Elder Hellion, she still wouldn't be able to afford this stone. Chun-Lian thought to herself, no matter what, she had to get this stone. Chapter 634. 5 million? Isn't that too ridiculous? It's just a piece of rock. I can't see anything special about it. The two girls beside Chun-Lian also began to chatter. The waiter on the treasure boat could only helplessly wait at the side. There would always be some customers who would make trouble for no reason. With Chun-Lian's personality, she would definitely get what she set her eyes on. However, she really couldn't take out 5 million gold coins. In fact, it wasn't just Chun-Lian. Most people on the continent couldn't take it out either. Not everyone was like Yun Sheng, who knew how to earn money and would gamble and loot a burning house for no reason. Chun-Lian's troubled look made her even more lovely. The young master's eyeballs were about to fall out. He cleared his throat and walked up. "Miss, do you want to buy that rock?" Only then did Chun-Lian look at the man behind her. He was about 25 or 26 years old and wore an exquisite bee-skin warrior's robe. He wasn't handsome, but he wasn't detestable either. However, from the way he looked at people, it was obvious that he wasn't a good person. Chun-Lian had seen many of such people in the Jade Capital. If it was in the past, she would have dismissed them with a few words. After all, in the Jade Capital, no one dared to offend the daughter of the Grand Elder Residence. However, things were different now. She was currently in Skywing City, where experts were as common as clouds. Those seemingly ordinary people could very well be hidden experts or those extremely wealthy people who had come to Skywing City to pass the time. Who is this young master? Chun-Lian could only give a perfunctory answer. She lowered her eyes and had a shy expression. Eldest young master. When the waiter on the treasure boat saw the young master, he looked nervous and hurriedly went forward to greet him. "You are..." Chun-Lian knew that this person's identity was definitely not simple. "I'm Skywing's Tua. The Skywing City Lord is my father. This treasure boat is a property under my name." Skywing's Tua was the eldest son of the Skywing City Lord. This person usually liked to flirt with women, especially female martial artists and female magicians. The Skywing City Lord's strength was unfathomable. When his son was born, he received the most elite education. It was only because of this reason that the Skywing brothers were spoiled by their arrogance, which spoiled their young master tempers. The Heavenly Wing Tua was undisciplined by nature. After cultivating to the level of a martial saint, he felt tired and was unwilling to break through again. After he inherited the treasure boat business from his father, he had always been a hands-off shopkeeper. He threw all the treasure boat business to Steward Chu while he fooled around. He only came to inspect the treasure boat once every few months. Today, he had no choice but to go to the treasure boat because his female companion was pestering him to choose some treasures. Who knew that the moment he entered, he would see the beautiful Chun-Lian. He wanted to get to know her, but he couldn't be too casual in his own territory. Coincidentally, Chun-Lian was in trouble, so he took the opportunity to strike up a conversation. Knowing that the treasure boat was his property, Chun-Lian couldn't help but rejoice. She believed that she had both looks and talent. Now that she was a saint mage, she wouldn't be interested in ordinary men at all. In her entire life, Chun-Lian had only fallen for two men. One was Yi Baiming, and the other was later Qin Crown Prince Duguxiu. As for the other men, Chun-Lian had full confidence that she could coax them until they were dizzy. If she could please this lecher in front of her, she might not even have to spend a single gold coin to get this treasure that she suspected to be a bracelet fragment. "I am Chun-Lian, a student of the continent's magic elite camp. I just happened to be training in Tianyi City." Chun-Lian revealed what she thought was her most charming smile. When Tianyi Tua saw this, half of his bones went limp. "So you are a student of the continent's magic elite camp. No wonder your temperament and appearance are outstanding. It's rare that I have fate with you. If you like anything, feel free to open it. Take it as a meeting gift from me to you." When the people on the treasure boat heard this, they had a headache. They hurriedly signaled to the others with their eyes. Their young master was a brainless wastrel, especially when he saw beauty. He couldn't control his belt. Because he was pursuing women, he gave out many things. Every year, Because of this, the young mistress of the city lord's mansion would come to the treasure boat to make a fuss. That waiter could only secretly instruct someone to find Steward Chu. Steward Chu was an old man of the city lord's mansion and could speak on a daily basis. I don't think it's a good idea. Every item on this treasure boat is priceless. Young Master Tianyi and I only met by chance. Chun Lian said this, but her beautiful eyes had already landed on that stone. On her head, even Tianyi Tuo's perverted wolf claws, which impatiently touched her hand, did not avoid it. Tianyi Tuo touched Chun Lian's hand and felt that it was very smooth. His heart rippled. Without saying anything, he patted his chest and promised, "Lianer and I hit it off at first sight. If you like anything, just say the word. I will definitely give it to you." Lianer has a hobby of collecting stones since she was young. "I want that stone." Chun Lianer resisted the urge to retract her hand and pointed at the stone with a smile. Tianyi Tuo looked at the stone with interest. He had operated the treasure boat for many years and had a certain level of eyesight. But this stone did not have any fluctuations of magic or dou qi. It was indeed a very ordinary stone. The price of 5 million seemed to have been set by his father. Only a fool would buy it. But if the great beauty liked to collect this kind of stone, he did not care. "It's only a stone. Come, wrap it up for Miss Chun." In order to get a smile from the beauty, Tianyi Tuo did not look at the stone. "But young master, you must first tell Manager Chu." The people on the treasure boat did not dare to say it out loud. Tianyi Tuo had randomly sent women's items. The master of Tianyi City had ordered that in the future, if the young master did so again, he must obtain Manager Chu's permission. "Oh, is the master here? If I tell you to take it, then take it." Tianyi Tuo glared fiercely at the clerk. The latter was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Just as the clerk did not know what to do, Manager Chu walked out. "Young master, this stone has already been taken by someone. This subordinate promised her to keep it for a year. It has already been taken off the shelf. I don't know which insensible clerk got on the wrong shelf." As soon as Manager Chu came, the clerk quickly retreated to the side and threw the hot potato to Manager Chu. Manager Chu saw the stone at a glance. Wasn't this stone the one that Yun Sheng had taken a fancy to? She had already promised Yun Sheng. She did not know which clerk did not have eyes and did not take it away in time. Then, it was so unlucky that it was taken by someone else. Just now, someone had already told Manager Chu what had happened. The young woman in front of him was obviously not a kind person. She wanted to take advantage of the young master's admiration. Who took a fancy to it? Tianyi Tuo was a little unhappy when he heard this. It was just a broken stone. When did it become so popular? It's a regular customer. It was not convenient for Manager Chu to say Yun Sheng's identity, so he could only beat around the bush. Chapter 635. Did that person pay the deposit? Tianyi Tuo asked impatiently. He had long found Steward Chu an eyesore. The other parties seemed to be here to help him, but in private, he was sent by his father, who disappeared all year round, to monitor him. Usually, this old woman took advantage of her seniority in the shop and kept interfering with him. She was an eyesore, and Tianyi Tuo had long wanted to drive her away. If not for the fact that she was Chu Yu's mother, allowing her to stay here and have more chances to see Chu Yu, Tianyi Tuo would have ordered someone to leave. No. Yinsheng only had tens of thousands of gold coins with her. She still needed to buy some basic medicinal herbs, so Steward Chu did not take her deposit. At that time, Steward Chu did not expect that there would be a second customer who would take a fancy to this stone so quickly. Then that's it. Without a deposit, it's just empty talk. This stone is given to Miss Chun. Tianyi Tuo ordered someone to wrap the stone up. Eldest young master, if the residence knows about this, I'm afraid it won't be peaceful. Steward Chu was also a man of his word. Since he had promised Yin Sheng, he would definitely do it. The person in the residence that Steward Chu was talking about was Tianyi Tuo's eldest young mistress. This eldest young mistress was famous for being fierce. Previously, because of the eldest young master's affairs outside, she had caused a lot of trouble. Tianyi Tuo's heart quivered at Steward Chu's silent reminder. He thought again. If the beauty beside him got the stone and cut off all ties with him, wouldn't he be at a loss? But if he promised the beauty and did not keep his promise, wouldn't he lose face? Steward Chu, how has sister you been recently? I've been talking about going to the arena to see her. Tianyi Tua asked indifferently. Hearing his daughter's name, Steward Chu's originally firm tone immediately softened. Steward Chu was secretly angry. Tianyi Tua was really worse than a pig or a dog. Chuyu was his daughter. The mother and daughter had always depended on each other in the Tianyi City Lord's residence. Chuyu was born with good looks. When she was 13 or 14 years old, Tianyi Tua, who had already married, had already set his eyes on Chuyu. He took advantage of eldest young mistress and Steward Chu's inattention to seduce Chuyu many times with words and actions. However, Chuyu sternly reprimanded him. He still didn't give up. Once, he actually used the excuse of being drunk to sneak into Chuyu's room. Fortunately, Steward Chu happened to be sleeping in Chuyu's room that night, so his daughter managed to avoid a calamity. From then on, in order to break away from the eldest young master's entanglement, Steward Chu had no choice but to send his daughter, Chuyu, to the Skywing Arena. Although the second young master was not a kind person, he was not fond of women. Compared to the first young master, at least he did not have to worry about his daughter being taken advantage of. Seeing Steward Chu admit defeat, Heavenly Wing Tower was even more pleased with himself. He immediately ordered people to wrap up the stone. The stone was quickly wrapped up and delivered to him. When Chen Lianer saw that she had obtained the stone without any effort, she was secretly delighted. Just as she was about to take it, she was stopped by Skywing Tower's hand. The other party didn't forget to pinch her delicate and smooth hands. Chen Lianer felt disgusted, but on the surface, she did not reveal too much displeasure. Chen Lianer had also underestimated Skywing Tower. He was not one of those brainless lechers that Dongwang Linger had met in Zhou State. A stone worth 1 million, regardless of whether it was a stone or not, was still the treasure of the treasure boat. Skywing Tower was also not some spendthrift. With swan meat in front of him, how could he sit and watch her fly away? Miss Chun, we hit it off at first sight. Why don't we find a place to sit down and have a good chat? As for this stone, you don't have to worry. I will give it to you sooner or later. Skywing Tower put the stone into his storage ring and pulled Chen Lianer out of the treasure boat. Chen Lianer's face was full of reluctance, but for the sake of that stone, she could only accompany Skywing Tower. Steward Chu watched them walk out and shook his head. Early the next morning, Elder Hellion of the Continental Magic Elite Camp sat in the inn. In the past week, he suppressed his intense worry and did not care about the situation of the dozen or so magicians he had brought. On the other hand, Elder Yu of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp was very leisurely all day long. He would either sit in the inn, order a few pots of good wine and a few good dishes, and sit for an entire day. Or he would sit in the treasure boat of Skywing City and look at the most precious treasures of the continent. These days, it was the standard mode of travel. On the other hand, Elder Hellion was not so calm. Early in the morning, when Elder Hellion was about to go downstairs to eat breakfast, he saw Elder Yu and a magician of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp sitting together. Elder Hellion was about to ignore them and turn his head to leave. Who knew that when Elder Yu saw Elder Hellion, he would take a big stride forward and pull him back. Hey, Elder Hellion, what a coincidence. Sit down and have a meal together? Don't you want to know the situation of your dozen or so students? Elder Hellion's face was originally full of disgust, but when he heard that there was news of his students, he hesitated. Because of this hesitation, he was dragged to a seat by Elder Yu. The magician sitting at the table was the captain of the group that Elder Hellion had brought out this time. He was in charge of collecting information on the magicians of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp in the past 10 days or so. Greetings, elders. The magician was about 18 or 19 years old and looked very steady in his work. Elder Yu ordered me to pay attention to the situation of the other magicians of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp. In the past 10 days, all the students have chosen to enter the Skywings arena. There was no doubt about this. Those young geniuses from the Continental Warrior Elite Camp all had one thing in common. They were very talented and were the pillars of their families or countries. Since they had come to Skywing City, they naturally had to go to the arena to see how strong they were. Moreover, They had no money on hand at the moment. The best way to survive was to compete. Elder Hellion looked satisfied, thinking to himself, who would dare say that the magicians of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp are spoiled? Oh, then tell me, how are they doing in the arena? Elder Hellion glanced at Elder Yu. Although he knew that the other party wouldn't be so kind as to collect information on his students, his curiosity still won out. Most of the seniors and juniors have chosen to enter the Earthwings arena. There are many experts there, and it's the most suitable place for training. The magician reported a list of names. The two elders weren't surprised by this. After all, the most suitable arena for the magicians of the Continental Warrior Elite Camp was the Earthwings arena. This was something that the elders of the two elite camps had tacitly agreed to after participating in the Skywing City's training. The previous few times that Elder Hellion had led the team, he had also directly led the students into the Earthwings arena. Chapter 636. Whether it was a mage or a warrior, the best way to grow was to compete with opponents of equal strength. This was also the teaching model that the elite warrior and mage camps of the continent most approved of. However, two mages from the elite mage camp have joined the Yellow Wings division. The warrior hesitated. That's nothing. In a team, there are always some people who are weaker. The Yellow Wings division is actually not bad. Elder Yu chuckled and looked mischievously at Elder Hellion. Elder Hellion's face twitched. The Yellow Wings division was publicly recognized as the worst of the four major divisions in the Heaven's Wings arena. The division, there was a mix of good and bad people. In the early years, many fugitives, assassins, and third-rate characters who couldn't survive on the continent had all mingled in that training ground. That kind of place was pretty good for training some hunters. But for the genius-level students of the continent's elite mage camp, it was a piece of cake. In the past, Elder Hellion simply couldn't be bothered to bring people to the Yellow Wings division to observe. Elder Hellion wasn't surprised to learn that someone had gone to the Yellow Wings division. After all, he treated all the students equally this time. Yun Sheng, Gu Feng, and the others accompanying the team were weaker in magic to begin with. In layman's terms, they were the team's doctor and mage. Elder Hellion couldn't imagine how Yun Sheng and the others had passed these few days. Even if they had gone to the Yellow Wings division, they wouldn't have had much of an advantage. But in the end, there were students under him who didn't want to make progress and went to the Yellow Wings division to fish in troubled waters. With Elder Yu's sarcasm, Elder Hellion's old face was a little embarrassed. Those students were originally my substitute students this time, and their cultivation was a little weaker than the other students. One of them was a light mage. Elder Hellion's face was red as he hurriedly explained. Oh, you mean that disciple of the Light She? That mage went to the Earth's Wings division, but the battle situation. Elder Yu also knew goofing. The continent's elite camp wasn't like other places on the continent. In this place, it was normal for even warriors to receive treatment from mages. Teacher Guang, she had cooperated with Elder Yu before, so Elder Yu was also aware of the new light magic student he had accepted this year. That goofing fellow actually recklessly ran to the Earthwing arena. That kid actually went to participate in the competition. He was a light magician who didn't even know how to use offensive magic. How could he go to the arena? Wouldn't that be courting death? Elder Hellion was also frightened by this news. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. Elder Hellion's plan was for a light magician like Goofing to find a job as a healer in the arena. He would definitely be in high demand. What Elder Hellion did not know was that the Hidden Night Pavilion was so powerful in the arena that it was impossible for Goofing to treat someone without permission. No, Elder Hellion thought. He had to find that kid Goofing. If he was careless and lost his life in the arena, how would he explain it to Teacher Guang, Shi, and the other elders? Goofing is also someone who has broken the record in the Earthwing arena. In the past 8 or 9 days, he competed in 15 matches. He also worked very hard, but he lost all 15 matches, Elder Yu said unhurriedly. Lost all 15 matches? The corner of Elder Hellion's mouth twitched. If there was a hole in the ground under his feet, he would definitely jump in without hesitation. However, Elder Hellion did not care too much about Goofing's victory or defeat. We still have Feng Tian. With Feng Tian's strength, he will definitely be able to set a record in the arena. Elder Hellion remembered that he still had a trump card, Feng Tian. Feng Tian was aiming for the Fighting King in the Earthwing division. Elder Hellion dared to bet with Elder Yu because his biggest trump card was Feng Tian. He did not tell anyone that Feng Tian's strength was already that of a sky sorcerer. With his strength, it was only a matter of time before he broke through. Based on this point alone, Elder Hellion had full confidence in defeating the warrior elite camp. Elder Hellion, junior brother Feng Tian, is indeed very outstanding. He has already won 11 matches in a row in just over 20 days. The warrior from the elite warrior camp of the mainland echoed. Elder Hellion immediately regained his confidence. 11 matches. For a newcomer, this was an amazing result. If this continued, Feng Tian would win 50 matches within a year and obtain the title of Grappling King in the Earthwings competition zone. It was almost certain. However, the warrior changed the topic. Our mainland's elite warrior camp has also set a record. Junior brother, he has already won 12 matches in 20 days. 12 matches? Elder Hellion's smile froze. He had almost forgotten that the warrior elite camp also had their own trump card. Yi Baiming, known as the most outstanding genius of the warrior elite camp in the past 100 years, was also on the verge of breaking through to the martial sage realm. He had also participated in the Earthwing division's competition. Elder Hellion's heart skipped a beat when he saw the proud expression on Elder Yu's face. Speaking of which, he did not know Yi Baiming very well. However, Yi Baiming was the only direct disciple that the great elder of the warrior elite camp, Guei Yu, had accepted in the past 10 years. The other disciples were all disciples in name. Direct disciples were disciples who inherited the mantle. From this, it could be seen that Yi Baiming's talent was astonishing. The great elder of the warrior elite camp was famous for his high standards. How could the foundation of the disciple he had chosen be bad? Just this point alone proved how outstanding Yi Baiming's talent was. Yi Baiming's strength was close to that of a martial sage, while Feng Tian's strength was that of a sky sorcerer. In terms of the martial and sorcerer realms, their cultivations should be about the same. However, it would be hard to say if they were to really compete. Sorcerers had all kinds of unique spells, while warriors also had blood frenzy and unique battle techniques. Elder Hellion, if Feng Tian and Yi Baiming were to meet, who do you think would win? Elder Yu asked intentionally. That's hard to say. Moreover, the two of them might not meet. Elder Hellion was no longer in the mood to ask about the other students' competition. Although he spoke vaguely, he knew very well how big the Earthwing division was and how many top contestants there were. These two people were both monstrous-level contestants. Both of them were aiming for the title of Fighting King in the division. They would definitely meet. When that time came, as an elder, he would definitely be there to watch the battle. After Elder Hellion received this news, he only wanted to find Feng Tian as soon as possible and reminded him to be careful. He did not have the mood to stay any longer and went straight to his room to think of a way to contact Feng Tian. Sob, I accidentally fell asleep while writing. I've been out for 3 days and haven't had enough sleep. I'll update the second chapter at noon. Chapter 637. Seeing Elder Hellion walk away with a head full of worries, the pride on Elder Yu's face became even more apparent. He was certain that Yi Baiming and Feng Tian would meet sooner or later. As for victory, he had absolute confidence in Yi Baiming, the great elder's sole disciple. That martial artist looked at Elder Yu in bewilderment. That's right, Elder. Actually, I forgot to mention just now. You asked me to keep an eye on the situation in the Skywings arena. In the past few days, several major events have happened in the arena. Apart from being concerned about his own students, Elder Yu is also very concerned about the situation in the Skywings arena. This was because everyone knew that the Skywings arena was the pinnacle arena for warriors, magicians, and summoners on the continent. Here, contestants who obtained the title of King of Combat would become influential figures on the continent in the future. The elite camp of the continent also paid close attention to these influential figures. Oh, could it be that another dark horse has appeared? Is it in the Earthwings or Skywings division? In Elder Yu's mind, People like Feng Tian and Yi Baiming were absolute dark horses. However, even if they didn't rise up in the Skywings arena, they would rise up on the continent sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. Of course, the only people who could catch Elder Yu's attention were those from those two divisions. The dark horses this time are from the Yellow Wings and Profound Wings divisions. The Yellow Wings division has a team called Flame Emperor. That warrior had only just received this news. What kind of experts could there be in the Yellow Wings division? Elder Yu pursed his lips. If he remembered correctly, the Yellow Wings division restricted contestants to the level of Martial Sage. Even Saint Magicians and Martial Grandmasters were few and far between. In Elder Yu's eyes, the competition in the Yellow Wings division was like child's play. He didn't even bother to let his own students participate in the Yellow Wings division's competition. Think about it. What was there to see in a competition between a Martial Grandmaster and a Saint Magician? It was just some mid-level battle techniques and spells. To a Martial Emperor like Elder Yu, that level of battle techniques and spells was like slow motion. There aren't any experts. It's just that the battle style of the duo is very special. It's a pair of female magicians, and one of them can use elven healing magic. This was also the reason why the reporting warrior noticed the Flame Emperor duo. It was said that this duo had only been together for a few days. At first, their results were average, and they even lost a few matches. However, about 5 days ago, the Yin Emperor duo started winning. In about 5 days, he had already won 5 matches. Elven magic? Are they from the Immortal Keeper Nation? Elven magic was very rare. Compared to light magicians, elven magicians were even rarer. Even the continent's magic elite camp did not have one in all these years. This was because elven mages must have elven blood. The elves of the Immortal Keeper Nation were especially xenophobic. Their mages almost never appeared on the continent. That shouldn't be the case. However, their battle tactics are very special. One attacks while the other heals and supports. That's why they're like fish in water on the Yellow Wing battlefield. The reporting martial artist side. Actually, as a battle team, martial artists like to team up with a healing-type magician. This way, when they went out on missions, their chances of winning would be much higher, and their casualty rate would also be much lower. One attacks while the other supports. This kind of combination can at most win against some mid to low-level contestants. In the later stages, like the monthly tournament, this kind of combination won't be able to win. After all, how strong can a single person be? Elder Yu's combat experience far surpassed these fledgling students of the elite camp. In a team battle, unless one side's strength was heaven-defying, the Elven Magician team would ultimately lose. Healing-type magicians all had one thing in common. They were not proficient in offensive magic. Or it could be said that their magic souls were not suitable for learning offensive magic. Of course, there were some magicians on the continent who could learn defensive and offensive magic at the same time. However, those magicians were definitely not inferior to Yi Baiming and Feng Tian. Moreover, they were definitely famous in the continent when they were young. For example, Xiao Wenshu from the Temple of Magic was one of them. Whether or not this elven magician was from the Immortal Keeper Nation, the fact that she was still competing in the Yellow Wings division proved that her magical talent was very ordinary. Therefore, Elder Yu was certain that this Flame Emperor combination, which had the momentum right now, would definitely not be able to last until the monthly tournament. What a pity! If only that elven magician of the other side could be used by us, Elder Yu said regretfully. What kind of eye-catching thing has happened in the Black Wings division? The Black Wings division was the Magical Beast division. This division had always been the most low-key, but the casualties were also the most disastrous. This was because magical beasts were not humans. In places like the arena, the blood and gore would drive magical beasts into a frenzy. In the Black Wings division of the Sky Wings arena, magical beasts generally appeared at the 9th level and below. Just yesterday, in the Black Wings division, a magical beast killed 2 patrolling referees in the middle of a competition in progress and escaped. Now, everyone in the Sky Wings arena is encircling and suppressing that magical beast. Because magical beasts were participating in the Black Wings arena, compared to other divisions, there would be an extra referee. And the extra referee would definitely be a summoner. You're saying that the patrolling referees and the summoner were killed? That summoner is from the Zeo state? Most of the summoners on the continent were from the Zeo state, and the Skywings Arena had a habit of borrowing summoners from the Zeo state all year round. Yes, and it's a summoner. I heard that the Zeo state is furious and will send someone over in the next few days. The Zeo state was not to be trifled with, and a summoner at the level of a summoner was not ordinary. This doesn't sound normal. The strength of a Zeo state summoner, especially a wizard beastmaster, should be completely enough to control a 9th level magical beast. Eldu was very surprised when he heard this news. This was much more shocking than the news of the elven magician earlier. In fact, this news had already become the hottest topic in Skywing City. That magical beast's whereabouts were still unknown. The Black Wings division and the Earthly Wings division were close to each other, and the division where that magical beast was just happened to be right next to the division where that warrior had competed that day. The warrior who had reported this just so happened to witness the magical beast's escape. That magical beast broke through in the arena and became a beast king. That summoner's magical beast wasn't a match for a beast king. This disciple and a few of our junior brothers and sisters nearby all saw it with our own eyes. That day's situation was still very dangerous. That magical beast was an Earth-type magical beast, and its attack power was very shocking. After it broke through to the Beast King level, it comprehended a magical beast inheritance. It was an Earth-type arcane magic called the Throbbing Pulse of the Earth. More than half of the Black Wings division was destroyed in an instant. Chapter 638. A Beast King level magical beast. Is this news true? Elder-Yu's chopsticks fell to the ground when he heard the news. It's absolutely true. The disciples all saw it with their own eyes. The Skywings Arena immediately sent out many mages to attack, but that Earth-type magical beast defense was amazing. It broke through the layers of magic attacks and escaped, and its whereabouts are unknown. The situation at the time was very complicated. Those contestants who had not yet broken through to Martial Saint or Sky Mage felt a violent tremor as if the sky and earth were falling apart. Immediately after, there was a terrible roar, and an ugly magical beast appeared in the sky. That magical beast still had magic chains on its body. It shook its newly grown wings and fought its way out of the countless spells. The tragic situation was unforgettable. Skywing City is so big. Even if that magical beast escaped the city, it definitely couldn't escape the territory of Skywing City, Elder-Yu lamented. Skywing City looked like it was only the size of a city, but its surroundings were densely covered with the territory of the Skywing City Lord. As long as the Skywing City Lord wanted to capture that magical beast, even a Beast King would not be able to escape. A Beast King level magical beast. It was no wonder that even the Zeo state was alarmed this time. On the one hand, the Zeo state had lost face because of the death of the summoner, and they had to regain their dignity. On the other hand, a Beast King level magical beast had not appeared on the continent for more than 100 years. At present, all the Beast King level magical beasts on the continent already had masters. Most of them belonged to those monsters on the level of Emperor Zeo, such as the Pope in Red or the Lord of Grand Imperial City. A Beast King level magical beast with no one living in it, and one that had comprehended the beast inheritance and profound magic at the king level. Its value could be said to be immeasurable. It was likely that not only the Skywings Arena, but also the Zeo state would not let this matter rest. But this time, Elder-Yu's prediction was wrong again. For some reason, although the arena had sent out a large number of people, the Skywing City Lord did not appear. That magical Beast King that had escaped did not appear for the next few months. But that didn't stop the Zeo state's people from showing up. This time, the Zeo state had sent a summoner over. The arrival of the summoner was also a great opportunity for Yunsheng. No matter what, we have to pay close attention to this news. If this magical beast really does end up in the hands of the Zeo state, I'm afraid it will affect the search for the divine artifact in the future. Elder-Yu frowned. The innate talent of Earth-type magical beasts was not only their amazing defense, but also their ability to hunt for treasures, especially the Demon Beast King. If it fell into the hands of the Zeo state, it would be even more difficult to find the 8 Baron Divine artifacts in the future. However, this time around, Elder, you guessed wrong. Even though the Skywing Arena had dispatched a large number of people to chase after the fleeing magical beast, they still hadn't found any trace of that fleeing magical beast. This matter had also become the hottest topic of discussion among people during their leisure time. Right now, only 2 days had passed since the start of the monthly competition between Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger. 2 days later, Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger arrived at the Skywing Arena. The treatment of the monthly competition was much better than the daily competition. There were a total of 6 teams participating in the monthly competition, and they had to go through 3 rounds of competition to determine the top 3 of the monthly competition. They would receive 1, 2, and 3 times the points respectively. However, only the top 3 of the monthly competition would be in first place. Only the champion of all 12 monthly competitions would be able to enter the annual competition. Flame Emperor was participating in the monthly competition in July. With Chu Yu's help, Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger were able to obtain the information of the other contestants in the monthly competition 3 days before the competition. This information detailed the strength of the other teams, as well as the magic and battle techniques they were good at. There were a total of 6 teams participating in the monthly competition. If Flame Emperor wanted to meet Xiao Qingqing's Tortoise Blade, they needed more than just luck, but also strength. Flame Emperor went to the 9th competition zone first. Coincidentally, the individual competition in the morning had ended, and a group of contestants walked out of the lounge. After staying in the Yellow Wings competition zone for a long time, the older contestants gradually accepted the 2 of them. Congratulations, Flame Emperor. I heard that you guys made it to the monthly competition. Do your best and become the champion of the monthly competition. You can also win some face for our 9th competition zone. It's a pity that the ticket price for this monthly competition is too high. We can't afford the ticket and can't go and cheer for you guys. Other than Flame Emperor and Twin Dragons who volunteered to compete in the 9th competition zone, most of the contestants who competed in the 9th competition zone were either pushed aside or suppressed. These people, including Kong Fei and Lu Qingqing, were already displeased with the 1st competition zone. We appreciate everyone's kind intentions. We will do our best to compete, Flame Emperor replied passionately. All right, I have always had a question. You have competed so many times in a row, don't you need to meditate? Also, Flame uses elven magic, so the consumption of magic should be very high. A contestant who was more familiar with Flame Emperor asked. In order to enter the monthly competition sooner, the Flame Emperor team was spinning like a top. For mages, after using magic, they needed to meditate to recover their magic power. This was especially true for mages below Sky Mages. Because they hadn't comprehended the 4 major magic mysteries, they needed to meditate for a longer time. Especially when they were competing against opponents of similar strength, the consumption of magic power was even higher. Generally speaking, most of the mage contestants in the Yellow Wings competition zone would rest for a day and compete for a day. This also caused many people to miss the opportunity to participate in the monthly competition. After all, to participate in the monthly competition, one had to accumulate a total of 30 consecutive victories within a month. There was another way to quickly recover magic power, and that was to use high-grade meditation water to recover magic power. However, due to the existence of the Hidden Night Pavilion, the price of a bottle of high-grade meditation water was as high as 100 gold coins for mages who weren't willing to cooperate with the Hidden Night Pavilion. It was obvious that the mages could not afford such a price. Most people knew that the Flame Emperor team had offended the person in charge of the competition zone, Yellow Knight Emissary, on their first day. Therefore, no one thought that the Flame Emperor team would buy potions from the Hidden Night Pavilion. However, everyone also saw that the Flame Emperor team competed every day and almost didn't miss a single match. Moreover, They sometimes participated in multiple matches in a day, including single matches and double matches, but they didn't seem to be overwhelmed. This kind of desperation made many male warriors and mages blush with shame. They didn't seem to be in a situation where their magic power was depleted. "No, we have meditation water." Flame Emperor took out a bottle of meditation water and threw a bottle to the mage who was closer to them. Chapter 639. The magician had just finished the competition and consumed more than half of his magic power. His body was weak, and he urgently needed to meditate. The magician looked at the bottle of meditation water. There was no sign of the Hidden Night Pavilion on it. He was suspicious, but still drank the bottle of meditation water. After drinking, he didn't forget to wipe his mouth and release a spell. Amazing! He recovered all of his magic power. The magician was shocked when he tried it. He just came out of the arena a quarter of an hour ago. It was impossible for him to recover his magic power. The other veteran players were also shocked when they saw this scene. Hidden Night Pavilion is willing to sell medicine to you. Among the veteran players, many of them had a bad relationship with the Hidden Night Pavilion. The Hidden Night Pavilion put these people on the blacklist. If they want to buy medicine, the price is at least 3 times higher. Even if they have money, they can't buy medicine. It's not like all the pharmacists on a continent are dead. Why can't they get the medicine from the Dark Night Pavilion? This is the meditation water of the Little Sea Enchantong. Its effect is not worse than the Dark Night Pavilion's. The Emperor disdainfully said, "Little Sea Enchantong? There are medicinal pills and potions of the Little Sea Enchantong here." Among the veteran players of the Yellow Wings division, many of them came from the Zhou state. Once upon a time, the most famous medical hall on the continent was the Imperial Medicine Pavilion, and the Magic Treatment Hall was the temple. But no one knew when it started. It seems that the Little Sea Enchantong began to rise since the rise of the A-ranked hunting corps. The rise of the Little Sea Enchantong formed a prairie fire. From the Zhou state, it began to expand to other places in the continent. At first, it was the hunters, then it was the civilians. Because of the model of selling medicine and medicinal pills, the price of medicine was relatively low. Whether it was nobles or civilians, they liked to buy the medicine of the Little Sea Enchantong. If the medicine in hand was really from the Little Sea Enchantong, then the quality was naturally impeccable. But where did you get the medicine of the Little Sea Enchantong? The Hidden Night Pavilion almost monopolized the medicinal pills of the entire city. Refining and selling. How did this medicine come about? Did the Little Sea Enchantong set up a medical hall in the Sky Wing City? These players were all very smart. Although they saw the effect of the medicine, they still had some doubts. Yin had long expected that they would ask this question. "My friend," it was said that the current young master of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was preparing to develop a business in Skywing City. In the future, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's airships would return to Skywing City twice a month. The Little Sea Enchantong and the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce have already established a cooperation. Every time the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's airship arrives, they will deliver a batch of Little Sea Enchantong's medicines. Yinsheng had only thought of looking for the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce after learning that Chu Yu wanted to expand the number 9 competition zone. Through the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's transportation and supply of materials, Chu Yujia was able to obtain the materials for her expansion at a 30% discount. The Everlasting Chamber of Commerce could also provide a group of skilled craftsmen to help with the construction. Yinsheng had already written a letter to Zhou Qingchuan. If nothing unexpected happened, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's ships would arrive at Skywing City in about half a month. Who didn't know the name of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce? Skywing City was independent from the world, and the biggest problem here was the transportation of resources. Even existence like the elite camp of the continent would have a headache when it came to transporting empty ships back and forth. But the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was different. They were rich and overbearing, and their businesses were spread all over the continent. For the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, the Sky Wing City was an undeveloped virgin land. When Yunsheng thought of completely opposing the Hidden Night Pavilion, she carefully analyzed the situation. If she wanted the Hidden Night Pavilion to fall, besides breaking their control over the contestants during the competition, the root of the problem was to cut off their supply of medicinal materials. Hearing Yun Sheng's words, the contestants boiled up. If that's really the case, we will all go and buy them. Everyone, please calm down. This matter will take some time to complete. When the time comes, we will definitely inform everyone. Flame appeased the group of excited contestants. What's so lively about? Chuyu walked over. Unlike the day competition, the monthly competition zone was held at night. Chuyu didn't need to act as a referee, so she could watch the competition together. Earlier, she had asked Flame Emperor to come to the number 9 competition zone to provide them with some information. Who would have thought that as soon as she came out, she would see Flame Emperor surrounded by a group of contestants, discussing in full swing. It's nothing. Nothing has been set in stone yet. When the matter is settled in a few days, I will have to inform you, Flame smiled. If they wanted to test out the sale of medicinal materials in the number 9 competition zone, they would need Chu Yu's help. Starting from a day competition zone, then the entire Yellow Wings competition zone, then the Sky Wings Arena, and finally the entire Sky Wing City. Whether it was the Medicine Emperor Pavilion or the Law Temple, whoever provoked her must be uprooted. Bypassing the group of excited contestants, Chuyu handed a few pages to Flame Emperor. That's all I can do to help you. I believe that the other contestants have similar information on hand. Because the competition wasn't held in her own competition zone, Chuyu could only be a spectator. This monthly competition wasn't just a simple competition between contestants. At the same time, it was also a competition between the day competition zones. Regarding the monthly competition being designated as a competition zone, the referees of the other zones also had some opinions. However, no one dared to go against Tian Yidong's wishes. Therefore, the only thing left was to compete between the contestants of the other zones. She also heard that Lu Qingqing's group had already spread the word that July's monthly competition would be won by Willowblade. Flame Emperor immediately looked up the information of the monthly competition opponents and began to analyze. The monthly competition wasn't like the day competition. After all, it represented the strongest mystical beast in the entire Yellow Wings competition zone. The 6 teams participating in the monthly competition were Flame Emperor, Tortoise Blade, Twin Dragons, Tu Ming, Raging Inferno, and Divine Shield. Among them, Flame Emperor and Twin Dragons were newcomers. The remaining 4 teams all had the experience of participating in the monthly tournament. Why is there a number behind the names of the 6 teams? Flame noticed that when the names of the 6 teams were listed, there were numbers from 1 to 8. Flame Emperor was followed by a 7. That's your odds. Cough, cough. The outside world isn't very optimistic about your chances of winning. Chuyu coughed a few times, but don't worry. That's because they don't know your strength. Flame Emperor was the most unpopular dark horse among all the contestants. However, that was only limited to the day competition zone. After entering the monthly competition, every team was an expert. The amount of money in the gambling house also increased accordingly. Flame Emperor was the most popular in the day competition zone because Flame was an elf magician. However, after entering the monthly competition, this identity became their restriction. This point coincided with Elder Huoyin's evaluation of the dark horse Flame Emperor. Flame Emperor couldn't win in the monthly competition. Chapter 640. Elf mages, especially water elven mages, are mostly good at healing. However, when it comes to attacking, they are somewhat lacking. Flame Emperor is equivalent to having only one person capable of attacking. This way, in a monthly tournament where experts are as numerous as clouds, he would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, Flame Emperor's market wasn't that optimistic. Flame Emperor and Flame Emperor were both silent. Worried that the 2 of them would think too much, Chuyu urged the 2 of them to go to the first competition zone earlier to get used to it. At the same time, they could also observe the strength of the other contestants. In the monthly tournament of the Yellow Wings competition zone, 2 dark horses, Flame Emperor and Double Dragon, as well as the powerful Willowblade, appeared. It is said that the strength of these few teams is close to that of the Earth Wings competition zone. By only spending the fee of the Yellow Wings competition zone, one could watch the exciting matches of the Earth Wings competition zone. Because of this, the monthly tournament this time was unprecedentedly popular. Because of this, the monthly tournament in August was also known as the once-in-a-decade exciting monthly tournament. Because of this, the first competition zone specially expanded the venue and added 1,000 plus temporary seats. The number of spectators for the monthly tournament could reach an unprecedented 3,000 people. That Kong Fei's methods were also not bad. He must have been envious of the income of the ninth competition zone and whispered some pillow talk to the second young master. After this monthly tournament, the first competition zone will definitely earn a lot of money. Chuyu informed Flame Emperor that in this competition, there's another new team called Double Dragon that directly entered the monthly tournament. Most of the contestants for the monthly tournament were old faces. Even Lu Qingqing was entering the monthly tournament for the second time. That afternoon, Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger arrived at the first competition zone. Because the identities of the two of them were confidential, Yun Sheng didn't even inform Gufeng and Qi. Similarly, the monthly tournament also had a contestant resting area. However, compared to the daily tournament contestants' resting area, the monthly tournament contestants' resting area was much more luxurious. Magic lamps of various colors flashed, and chairs covered in thick animal skins were placed beside the chairs. Fine wine and food were placed on the side for the contestants to enjoy freely. The monthly tournament contestants were all outstanding existences in the Yellow Wings competition zone. The monthly tournament was also able to attract a lot of guests and rich people who came to Skywing City for sightseeing. Therefore, the treatment for the contestants in the arena was also much better. Flame Emperor walked into a resting area that was similar to a modern small private room. The other 5 groups of monthly contestants who were going to participate in the competition were already waiting there. Flame Emperor immediately saw Lu Qingqing, who was occupying a corner by herself. This was the first time Yin had met Lu Qingqing. Last time, Yin was only focused on saving the Emperor and didn't have time to see Lu Qingqing clearly. Lu Qingqing, as described by Dongwang Ling earlier, had an enchanting appearance. She had long hair that was like a waterfall and a pair of blue eyes that were like the sea. Her entire body looked as if it had no bones as she leaned against the soft couch. There was also a strangely dressed man standing to the side. The man wasn't tall, and he didn't have a single hair on his head. His neck and limbs were short, but his shoulders were broad. He looked like a tortoise. That person must be Lu Qingqing's partner, Tortoise Blade. The 2 members of the Willow Blade team were the most popular team for this month's competition. The odds for the 2 of them were only 1. In comparison, the odd for the Flame Emperor duo were 7. Flame had already found out from Chuyu that in the previous pair's competition, all of the teams that fought against Willow Blade lost miserably without exception. There were even some teams that completely lost their ability to compete because of this. Lu Qingqing was currently playing with her nails that were painted bright red. When she saw the masked Flame Emperor duo enter, she sat up. "Damned girl, you actually dared to appear in front of me." Lu Qingqing's expression was fierce as she fiercely glared at the Emperor. Ever since the start of the competition, she had never suffered a loss. Being taught a lesson by a reckless newbie, Lu Qingqing was already gnashing her teeth in hatred. If it wasn't for the fact that fighting was strictly prohibited in the contestants' resting area, she might have immediately fought with the Emperor. "You are Lu Qingqing?" Flame held down the Emperor and walked to the front of Lu Qingqing. "That's me. You are that damn girl's partner? I advise you to be tactful and admit defeat. Otherwise, you will lose more than you gain if you die in the arena." Lu Qingqing glared at Flame. "Lu Qingqing, I will definitely kill those who hurt my good friend. See you in the arena." Flame smiled coldly. Lu Qingqing originally wanted to retort, but she suddenly felt a chill all over her body. Flame's mask was already ferocious. At first glance, he looked like a killing god from hell. Coupled with his bone-chilling voice, Lu Qingqing couldn't help but shiver. Flame went to the side and didn't speak anymore. He carefully sized up the contestants around him. You're overestimating yourself. Lu Qingqing gritted her teeth. The fear she felt just now made her imposing manner lower by a notch. Qingqing, why bother with them? They might not be able to enter the finals alive. The tortoise-like man beside her said. After hearing this, Lu Qingqing felt relieved. For this August's monthly tournament, Yellow Knight Emissary had put in a lot of effort. In August's monthly tournament, the Hidden Knight Pavilion had monopolized 4 groups. In other words, in today's monthly tournament, only Twin Dragons and Flame Emperor weren't on their side. Yellow Knight Emissary was also very confident in this monthly tournament. The other 3 groups were just there to accompany them. They were responsible for clearing the obstacles in the arena for Willowblade. The strength of Flame Emperor and Flame Emperor was only so. They might not be able to meet her. Thinking up to here, Lu Qingqing looked at Flame Emperor and smiled sinisterly. Twin Dragons also saw the interaction between Flame Emperor and Willowblade. The Twin Dragons were Long Shui and Long Tu, who had participated in the competition in the Yellow Wings division as contestants. They were also the other pair of newcomers that Chuyu had told Flame Emperor about. These 2 people were from the Wanlong gambling house and were also Yi Baiming subordinates. The duo's name was Twin Dragons, which meant Twin Dragons. Compared to Long Hua, who was usually in charge of the Wanlong gambling house, these 2 people were much more low-key. Yinsheng also didn't recognize them. However, their strength was also extraordinary. One of them was a magician and the other was a warrior. They cooperated very well. Yi Baiming had let Long Shui sneak into the competition earlier. Long Shui secretly found out that Yunsheng was participating in the double tournament under the name of Flame Emperor. She followed Long Tu all the way and entered the monthly tournament together. Long Shui, I'll go and report the situation of the groups to Master first. You pay attention to Miss Yun's movements. You must not let Lu Qingqing and her group secretly do something. Long Tu paid attention to Yunsheng's movements at the side. Chapter 641. Xuanlong already knew that out of the 6 teams in the monthly competition, 4 of them were from the Hidden Knight Pavilion. Their goal was to clear the obstacles for Flame Emperor. Yi Baiming originally wanted to come and watch the competition, but he knew that Yunsheng was very clever. If he came to watch the competition rashly, Yunsheng would definitely know that he found out that he sent people to participate in the 2-person competition. In order to prevent the wildcat from getting angry, Yi Baiming decided to find out about Yunsheng's situation remotely. Long Tu was responsible for transmitting the entire competition process to Yi Baiming. Long Tu left the lounge temporarily and found Yi Baiming, who was waiting outside the Yellow Wings competition area. He told Yi Baiming everything, including the few teams that the Hidden Knight Pavilion inserted in the monthly competition. Master, are we going to clear all the obstacles for Miss Yin? Long Tu and Long Shui's strength could be considered competent in the Yellow Wings competition area. The people from the Hidden Knight Pavilion were no match for them. No need, just follow the normal order, Yi Baiming said casually as he was about to start competition. Long Tu left for a while and soon returned. Master, are you coming back to watch the competition? Long Shui looked expectant. Although he knew that his master was coming to watch that woman, Long Shui still hoped to see his master appear in the audience. Master won't be coming, but Master has ordered us to get rid of the other 2 groups and leave Lu Qingqing's group behind. Long Tu frowned when he saw that Long Shui couldn't help but reveal a look of admiration when he mentioned Master. Long Tu spent a lot of time with Long Shui, so he knew about Long Shui's admiration for his master. He wanted to remind Long Shui not to be delusional. His master was his master, and she would always be his servant. However, Long Shui didn't listen to him at all. Follow the normal order? Long Shui didn't understand. If his master really liked that woman, why didn't he just get rid of Lu Qingqing earlier? Master said that Miss Yun likes to enjoy the process of torturing people. No one else is allowed to touch her enemies. Otherwise, Miss Yun will be unhappy. Long Tu was an honest man. He actually didn't understand what enjoying the process of torturing people meant. But his master was so smart that he would do whatever his master told him to do. However, Long Shui's expression changed slightly. She understood what her master meant. Her master had even considered this point. He truly cared about that woman. Even their thoughts were exactly the same as that woman's. Whether it was Yun Sheng or Yi Baiming, they both liked to do things by themselves, especially when facing their enemies. The number of matches for the first day has been announced. Contestants, please enter the corresponding monthly competition area according to the number of matches. Kong Fei walked out and announced the schedule for the first day's matches. When she saw the schedule, Lu Qingqing nodded with satisfaction, because she saw that the Flame Emperor team had indeed met another team from the Hidden Knight Pavilion, Divine Shield, as she had expected. She also knew the strength of that team. It was absolutely impossible for a team of newcomers to deal with them. Even if Flame Emperor were to win by luck, they would definitely suffer great losses. For the next 2 nights of the monthly competition, they would definitely not have enough magical power to deal with it. Long Shui and Long Tu also saw the number of matches. They had met another team from the Hidden Knight Pavilion, Laya. The first match of the Flame Emperor team would be held in the first competition area. The first competition area of the Yellow Wings competition area was the best and largest competition area in the entire competition area. It was right next to the Black Wings competition area. The area of the first competition area occupied 1/7 of the entire Yellow Wings competition area. The income of the competition area also accounted for 1/6 of the entire Yellow Wings competition area's income. This was the first time Flame Emperor was participating in a competition at night. At night, the sky was filled with stars. But even the stars in the sky couldn't be compared to someone in the audience. Chrysanthemum seller Kong Fei was wearing a fluorescent mage robe. He looked especially ostentatious. The spectator stand were also filled with spectators. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand people. On the east side of the spectator stands, there were a few independent seats at the highest point. At this moment, a young man in his 20s was already sitting in one of the seats. Kong Fei was standing beside the man, serving him tea and water. He was very attentive. The other referees of the day competition area, including Chu Yu, were sitting at the side. Second young master, look, the first competition area is completely filled. There are also many people outside who couldn't buy tickets and couldn't even enter. This is a huge loss for the Yellow Wings competition area. I think, why don't we expand the first competition area this year and add another 1,000 seats? Kong Fei was smiling so widely that his eyes were about to disappear. He glanced at Chu Yu from the corner of his eyes. How dare you compete with him? You should take a look at yourself first. Chu Yu pretended not to hear him. The expansion of the 9th competition area was much smoother with Yun Sheng's help. In another half a month, it would be completed smoothly. She hid the news of the expansion very well. When the time comes, she would definitely catch Kong Fei off guard. In the remaining 4 months, she would definitely multiply the income of the 9th competition area several times. Seeing that Chu Yu was ignoring him, Kong Fei was also asking for a snub. Chu Yu, I heard that in the monthly competition this time, the number 9 competition zone did pretty well. 2 groups entered the monthly competition. What do you think? Which of these 2 groups has a better chance of winning the championship? Tianyi Dong lazily glanced at the competition zone. Like Elder Hellion, Tianyi Dong never thought that the Yellow Wings competition area could produce any experts. In previous years, he might not even have come to watch the annual competition. But this time, Kong Fei pestered him so much that in order to appease his little lover, he could only lower himself to watch the competition. This subordinate doesn't know. The contestants of the 9th competition area are all newcomers. How can they compare to the veteran contestants? I think that this time, the first competition area's representative has a better chance. Chu Yu also knew that Kong Fei and Tianyi Dong were singing the same tune and just wanted to see her make a fool of herself. The first competition area's representative contestant this time was Lu Qingqing's Tortoise Blade. She heard that Kong Fei had been hooting for a long time that the championship this time would belong to none other than Willow Blade. He himself had bet quite a bit of money on Willow Blade. Emotionally, Chu Yu was more biased toward Flame Emperor, but out of reason, she still bet 10,000 gold coins on each of her 2 groups of contestants. At least you have some eyesight. I'm going to preside over the competition. Kong Fei puffed out his chest, and a magic scepter appeared in his hand. His magic scepter spat out a flame into the sky. The flame soared into the air and turned into a beautiful firework. The first night of the monthly competition officially kicked off. Chapter 642. There was no suspense in the first night's competition, and it quickly ended. What surprised Willowblade was that the divine shield that they had thought highly of earlier had actually been defeated. It seems that Flame Emperor's strength is higher than we thought. Tortoise Blade and Lu Qingqing also finished their competition. There was no suspense in these matches. After 3 matches, the victors were Flame Emperor, Willowblade, and Twin Dragon. Congratulations to the 3 teams that advanced. Please rest in a lounge. Next, we invite the second young master to draw the lucky teams for tomorrow night's semifinals. Kong Fei announced the results of the competition. Since there were 3 teams that advanced, the Heavenly Wing East would draw a team to directly enter the finals. The remaining 2 teams would compete tomorrow night. This drawing of lots was very important. One more match meant that a lot of stamina would be consumed, so the team with the bye could conserve their strength. Time ticked by, but the results of the drawing of lots outside still hadn't been announced. The 3 teams that advanced each took a direction in the contestant lounge. The 2 members of Twin Dragon closed their eyes and rested, not talking to anyone. The results are out. Kong Fei walked in and glanced at Flame Emperor. He said very unwillingly, "Flame Emperor, you directly advanced. Tomorrow night's competition will be between Willowblade and Twin Dragon." Kong Fei wanted to see Flame Emperor and Twin Dragon meet. These 2 Dark Horse teams both came from the 9th Division, so it couldn't be better for them to kill each other. Unfortunately, the second young master had some screw loose tonight, insisting on drawing lots himself. Flame Emperor had run into some dogs hit luck and got a bye. What dogs hit luck? Fine, I'll let you live one more day. Lu Qingqing let out an ear-piercing laugh. Lu Qingqing's previous match had been won very easily by a subordinate team of the Hidden Night Pavilion, almost without any effort. However, it seemed that Flame Emperor had conserved his strength quite well. Tomorrow night's competition would be between Willowblade and Twin Dragon. As a result, the Flame Emperor was given a bye for the first round. That's great. We can rest for the night tomorrow and watch the Twin Dragons and Willowblade fight to the death. The Emperor was very happy. One more battle meant that he would need more time to recover. Now that Twin Dragon and Willowblade were up against each other, both of them were very strong. Needless to say, tomorrow would be a fierce battle. No matter who won, Flame Emperor would have an easier time in the finals the day after tomorrow. At this moment, Twin Dragon and Willowblade had also received the results of the draw. Long Shui, Master should be very happy with the results of the draw. We will try our best to exhaust Lu Dao's strength tomorrow night. This way, when Miss Yun competes with Lu Dao the day after tomorrow, the chances of her winning will be very high. Long Tu was an honest person. His master had said earlier that he wanted Miss Yun to personally take revenge, and he also wanted to help remove the obstacles. The current arrangement was undoubtedly the best. Long Shui couldn't laugh anymore. Why did everything have to revolve around that woman? She didn't want that woman to get what she wanted, but her master had already given the order. What else could she do? You are Twin Dragon? After receiving the results of the draw, Willowblade came over early to greet Twin Dragon. Tomorrow night, please take care of us. Lu Qingqing acted out of character and actually took the initiative to extend her hand and greet Long Shui. Long Shui shook hands with her without batting an eyelid. When the two shook hands, Long Shui's expression changed slightly, but then returned to normal. I have something to do. You go back to the stronghold first. I will be back later. After leaving the arena, Long Shui and Long Tu parted ways. Long Shui turned into a secluded tea house. There was already someone sitting inside. Why did you ask me to come here? Long Shui was alert. When she was in the resting room, Lu Qingqing walked past her and secretly gave her a letter. In the letter, she asked her to come to this tea house to meet her. Long Shui and Lu Qingqing didn't have any friendship, so she didn't know what her intentions were. She should have told her master about this matter, but for some reason, Long Shui didn't tell Long Tuesday. I don't lie in front of the real person. I asked you to come here to talk to you about tomorrow's match. Lu Qingqing had seen today's match between Twin Dragon. If it's a match, then we have nothing to talk about. Long Shui turned and left. You are not here for the monthly tournament championship. Lu Qingqing's words made Long Shui stop. What a joke. Everyone who participates in the monthly tournament is here for the championship. We are no exception. Long Shui was still unwilling to admit it. If that's the case, then why did you come? You know that I asked you to come here for tomorrow's match. I want to win, so tomorrow night I must win easily. Lu Qingqing was very smart. She had already seen through Long Shui's strong enmity towards Flame Emperor. Although she didn't know who she was targeting, she was sure that Long Shui didn't want Flame Emperor to win. I can let you win, but I have a condition. I will let you win tomorrow night. The night after tomorrow, you must kill Flame on the arena. Long Shui said firmly. You hate Flame? Seeing Long Shui's face filled with jealousy, Lu Qingqing understood. So it was Flame. However, no matter which one it was, Lu Qingqing didn't plan to let any of Flame Emperor survive the night after tomorrow. After tomorrow night, Flame Emperor will definitely die. On the morning of the second day, Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger received an emergency notice from the arena. Last night, Long Shui of Twin Dragon was attacked by an unknown person when he went out. He was injured and couldn't participate in the match. Only 2 people can participate in the Twin Dragon competition. If one of them was injured and had to withdraw, they would automatically forfeit. As a result, the semifinals that were supposed to be held had to be stopped. However, the tickets for the semifinals were already sold out. After a discussion, the arena decided to hold the finals 1 day earlier. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? I dare to guarantee that this matter is related to Lu Qingqing. Dark Knight Pavilion must have bribed Twin Dragon. Dongwang Linger was somewhat puzzled. Why didn't he get injured earlier or later? Why did he get injured last night? However, suspicions could only be suspicions. After all, there was no evidence to prove that Long Shui's hand was related to Willowblade. In Yi Baiming's stronghold, Long Shui had a guilty expression on her face. Her arm was wrapped in 3 layers of bandages. Master, Long Shui has disappointed you. Tonight's match. The person who attacked Long Shui last night wasn't found. It wasn't your intention to get injured. You just need to focus on recuperating. Yi Baiming looked at Long Shui's hand thoughtfully. Seeing that her master didn't have any intention to blame her and instead asked about her injury with concern, Long Shui was delighted. However, if you can't even deal with a few small assassins, what's the point of keeping you by my side? Long Hua, from today onwards, transfer Long Shui away. I don't need her to serve by my side anymore. Yi Baiming's words made Long Shui feel as if she was in an ice cellar. Chapter 643. Master, please don't send Long Shui away. Long Shui promises that I won't dare to do it again. Long Shui begged pitifully. She hoped that she could stay by her master's side, even if it was just to watch. She had a feeling that her master seemed to know everything that she had done. Long Shui, you must remember, if a dog has disloyalty, then it won't be far from death. Yi Baiming said faintly. Long Shui's heart sank. A dog, in her master's heart, she was nothing more than a dog. Master, what about tonight's competition? Long Shui asked with a face full of fear. He didn't expect that Long Shui would be so daring. Go and watch the competition. If there are any strange movements, immediately report to me. Yi Baiming said with a gloomy face. Yellow Wings Competition Zone, August monthly competition's final match, Flame Emperor versus Willowblade. Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger had been waiting for this match for a month. Yunsheng and Dongwang Linger had arrived at the arena very early. Before the start of the match, Yunsheng felt that her eyelids twitched. It was a sense of danger that she had never felt before. Yunsheng had been in the Blue Dragon continent for so long, but she had never felt this kind of feeling before. What is it? What is it? Yunsheng, are you ready? Dongwang Linger pushed Yunsheng. Here is a bottle of Spring of Life. Keep it. If you meet with an emergency later on, immediately drink it. Yun Sheng was unable to tell where this sudden sense of danger came from. However, she was certain that it was definitely related to the upcoming match. There was still half an hour before the start of the match. In order to calm down her restless emotions, Yun Sheng took a look at Willow Blade's battle record again. Willow Blade had participated in a total of 30 matches, and without exception, they won all of them. In this battle team, Lu Qingqing was good at attacking, while Tortoise Blade was good at attacking and defending. It was a very special battle skill. Once the battle skill was activated, it would form a defensive circle within a quarter of an hour, making it impenetrable. It sounded like it had the same effect as Gu Feng's Heavenly Sphere of Light, but Gu Feng's Heavenly Sphere of Light lasted longer. The competition is about to begin. How are your preparations? Chuyu came to the resting room. She looked a little worried. Everything is normal. Yun Sheng and Dong Wang Linger nodded. Be careful. Lu Qingqing might use some extreme methods. Also, pay attention to the Tortoise Blade. Chuyu had been feeling anxious since early this morning. There were too many uncertainties in the first competition zone. With Kong Fei as the referee, Chuyu was worried that he would be biased. If you really aren't a match for him, there's no need to fight him head-on. As long as there's life, there's hope. Chuyu had already prepared for the worst. After all, Lu Qingqing and Tortoise Blade were too strong. Big Sister Chuyu, you just need to prepare a celebratory feast and wait for our triumphant return. Dong Wang Linger laughed. She didn't realize at all what kind of fierce battle was going to happen next. Flame, an emperor, walked into the arena. Tonight, there was no moon. The sky was as dark as a pool of ink. However, because of a soul-stirring monthly competition, the Heaven's Wings arena was as bright as day. When the two groups of contestants entered the resting rooms on the left and right sides of the arena, many magic light beams shot out from the two sides of the first competition zone. The light beams landed on the two groups of contestants in the finals of the monthly competition. Flame Emperor only felt that his eyes were bright, and his vision was blurred for a moment. When he saw the situation of the arena clearly again, he heard a burst of voices. The spectator stands that could only accommodate 3,000 people were filled with 4,000 to 5,000 people today. Outside the first competition zone, there were still a large number of spectators who couldn't enter the arena. The entire spectator stands were filled with people. Everyone was shouting crazily. This was all due to the temporary change in the schedule of the competition and the fact that the tickets were sold for 2 days. Willow Blade Battle Team was already standing on the arena. Kong Fei was dressed in fancy clothes. Flame Emperor also walked onto the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first competition zone. Tonight, the finals of the monthly competition in August will begin. Standing beside me is the ever-victorious Willow Blade Battle Team and the Rising Flame Emperor Battle Team. Let us look forward to this battle between the old and the new. Willow Blade or Flame Emperor. Who are you all supporting? Flame Emperor, Willow Blade, Willow Blade. Tonight, there were a lot of people from the Hidden Night Pavilion present. They formed a camp and shouted crazily for Willow Blade. There weren't a lot of people who supported Flame Emperor. Long Two squeezed into a group of people and could barely see the situation on the arena. He didn't even dare to blink his eyes. He was afraid that if he blinked, he would miss something. In the spectator stands, there were 2 particularly eye-catching seats. Second Young Master Tian Yidong sat in one of the seats. Yellow Knight Emissary of the Hidden Night Pavilion sat in the other seat. Second Young Master Tian Yidong and Yellow Knight Emissary both had their own thoughts. What shocked Tian Yidong was that he didn't think that the Yellow Wings competition zone, which he had never paid attention to, would have such high popularity. Yellow Knight Emissary, on the other hand, was itching to see the results of the competition. A lot of money had poured into this monthly competition. As long as Lu Qingqing won this round, he would earn a considerable profit of tens of millions of gold tonight. Let the competition begin, Kong Fei announced. At the same time, the masked Flame Emperor's lips moved and spat out a word. This word was clearly heard by the Flame Emperor. Go! A wind-type magic instantly swept up the Flame Emperor and helped her charge towards Tortoise Blade and Willow Blade Battle Team. That wind was used perfectly sending the Flame Emperor to within half a foot of Tortoise Blade. At this moment, Tortoise Blade hadn't finished chanting. On the other side, a layer of magic elements had just appeared around Tortoise Blade's body. It was at that moment that a lightning dragon erupted like a volcano. It was like an army of thousands of men and horses that suddenly leaped over. The 3,000 to 4,000 spectators only felt their eardrums buzz. Just as they had no time to cover their ears, they smelled a burnt smell. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Several magic soul stones on the Flame Emperor's magic scepter lit up in an instant, and several lightning flashes turned into a raging flood dragon. That flood dragon crossed the air and pierced through Tortoise Blade's chest. Tortoise Blade was a saint-level mage, and the Flame Emperor was also a saint-level mage. He never thought that the Flame Emperor's magic attack would actually choose a close-range attack. In the previous few competitions, without exception, Flame would first launch defense or use water magic to confuse the public, and then the Flame Emperor would start. Unexpectedly, it was just that Tortoise Blade couldn't understand how the Flame Emperor was able to use wind and lightning magic at the same time in such a short period of time. He didn't allow Tortoise Blade to think clearly. Gotcha! A certain organ in his chest had been blasted apart. Chapter 644. Immediately after, a rain of blood blossomed on Tortoise Blade's chest like a strange demonic flower. Tortoise Blade's eyeballs gradually turned grayish-white. His vitality left his body bit by bit as the rain of blood spurted out. On the side, Lu Qingqing had yet to recover from her shock. Her opponent was a mage. How could he use a close-range attack that only warriors could use? Even the Emperor had a look of disbelief in her eyes when she had succeeded, even though Yin had already repeatedly deployed the strategy for tonight's match before the match. That was to kill Tortoise Blade at the start of the match. In the spectator stands, the spectators who had been screaming incessantly stopped in an instant, as if an invisible hand was choking their throats. On the field, only Yin remained calm from start to finish. She had to remain calm because the slightest surprise in the arena meant death. Whether it was in the Heaven's Wings arena or the Boundless Continent, every contestant believed that victory depended on strength. Strength was king. However, Yin did not think so. In a match, especially one where life and death could be decided in an instant, using one's brain was more useful than using one's fists. After analyzing Willow Blade's battle pattern for a few matches, Yin keenly discovered that once Tortoise Blade's defense was activated, there was no suspense in the match. Tortoise Blade's defense was almost invulnerable, but for nearly a minute after his defense was activated, he was practically defenseless. At that time, Lu Qingqing was also accumulating energy to unleash her combat skills. That was the best time to kill Tortoise Blade. Once Tortoise Blade died, Lu Qingqing's defense became her biggest flaw. Tortoise Blade's chanting time was actually not much different from Huang's, who had undergone dark gold training. In terms of chanting, Huang was no match for Tortoise Blade. However, Yin was different. Her chanting time was twice as fast as Tortoise Blade's. Therefore, the moment Kong Fei announced the start of the match on the field, Yin had already finished chanting. She released her first wind-type spell, helping Yin get close to Tortoise Blade in one fell swoop. Thunder Dragon Flash, with its astonishing attack power, succeeded in one hit, just as Yin had expected. Tortoise Blade. Lu Qingqing looked at her companion. Tortoise Blade, who was already dead, crashed to the ground like a collapsing wall, dying on the arena. Yin's attack was very fatal. At this moment, the results of the Dark Gold instructor's training were obvious. He didn't want to waste any extra MP Yan's attack had hit Tortoise Blade's heart. Tortoise Blade couldn't be more dead. I'm going to kill all of you. Lu Qingqing's eyes were filled with killing intent and rage. At this moment, she had already finished channeling her Do Qi. Her originally slender and tall body emitted bursts of popping sounds. Her limbs and hair had already undergone a transformation. Spots and small bumps that looked like suction cups grew on her originally white and smooth arms. Her skin had also turned light blue. Lu Qingqing's arms became softer and softer, constantly lengthening and expanding. Like willow branches being blown by a storm, they cunningly wrapped around the Emperor's neck. After Emperor's attack succeeded, his body rushed forward a few steps according to inertia. He was about to collide with Lu Qingqing's mutated tentacles. Return. A few wisps of wind wrapped around the Emperor's waist. When he was about to approach Lu Qingqing, his body was pulled back. You want to escape? In your dreams. Qiu Qingqing's dou qi surged. Countless hairs swarmed out, like seaweed dancing on the bottom of the sea, constantly climbing on the arena. In a flash, the hairs had surrounded the entire arena. As a veteran, Qiu Qingqing experienced a brief moment of surprise when her partner was killed in an instant. Her mentality immediately adjusted. Lu Qingqing thought that Emperor had used 2 spells at once. Right now, she must have consumed a lot of MP, and it was impossible for her to cast a 3rd spell. But Qiu Qingqing was wrong again. Boom! Another lightning bolt that was enough to shock the entire arena. It hit one of Lu Qingqing's mutated arms. Lu Qingqing's mutated arms were cut off by the lightning, and it bounced a few times on the arena. You actually have extra MP? I really underestimated you earlier. Lu Qingqing's expression changed. She glanced at the broken arm, as if it was nothing at all. Oof. I'm much more powerful than you think. Emperor landed safely on the ground, panting slightly. 1 advanced spell and 1 intermediate spell. Her MP had been consumed by 80 to 90%. However, Emperor was not worried, because she still had yen. You think you can win by cutting off one of my arms? Lu Qingqing laughed, her beautiful eyes full of disdain. She was careless today and lost a comrade. But it was fine. She alone was enough for this competition. Glory would only belong to her, Lu Qingqing. Lu Qingqing breathed slowly. A ball of blue light flashed on the arm that was hit by the lightning bolt. There was a disgusting squirming sound on Lu Qingqing's broken arm, and a new arm grew out. Regrowing a broken arm was the unique talent of the Seagull Queen. Haha, I want to see how many more spells you have. Come at me together. Lu Qingqing's eyes had a touch of flirtatious blue. The dou qi on her body changed. Emperor only felt that the temperature around him had become much colder. Near the arena, the small bumps on Lu Qingqing's mutated tentacles changed and turned into poison sacs. Patu mutated tentacles moved at the same time, attacking Yin and Emperor. There was a touch of surprise in Emperor's eyes. In the previous competition, Lu Qingqing did not have time to shapeshift. But this time, the shape-shifting ability she displayed caught Emperor off guard. The terrifying healing and regenerative ability. Was this the terrifying effect of the Seagull Queen's Soul Stone? Countless tentacles rushed towards the Flame Emperor without any blind spots. The small arena was instantly filled with those tentacles. The audience could not even see the situation in the arena clearly. The tentacles of the Seagull Queen were stained with paralyzing poison. Once touched, it would slow down one's movements and paralyze one's body. The audience seemed to have seen the scene of Emperor being torn apart by the tentacles. In the audience stands, Chuyu stood up with a bang. His heart felt like it was going to jump out of his chest. Long Tu was anxious. He hurriedly squeezed out and sent a message to Yi Baiming. But just as the tentacles were about to swallow the 2 of them, Lu Qingqing let out a shrill cry. Fire! It's fire! In the audience, the sharp-eyed people noticed that there was a small flame on the arena. The flame was getting brighter and brighter. It was like a small spark that quickly became a prairie fire. Chapter 645. The death of 1 or 2 contestants was nothing to Skywing East and the Skywing Arena. In the arena, there were always people dying every day. Moreover, for Kong Fei, Flame Emperor's death meant that Chuyu had lost her last bargaining chip in the competition. Kong Fei was happy that Lu Qingqing could kill both Flame Emperor and Flame Emperor. Seeing that the second young master didn't say anything, Chuyu couldn't care less. She didn't care about how dangerous it was on the arena and rushed to the front of the stage. However, due to the water blue colored dou qi barrier, Chuyu could only stand below the arena and loudly shout at Yin. Flame, admit defeat. Stop this competition. Chuyu's voice resounded incessantly in Competition Zone 1. Her voice was helpless and sharp. Although they had only known each other for a short month, Chuyu and Flame Emperor had become friends who talked about everything. At first, Chuyu wanted to use Flame Emperor to help her get the position of the person in charge of the Yellow Wings competition zone. But after spending some time together, she fell in love with this pair of female magicians who were 5 or 6 years older than her. Flame Emperor was a very strange combination. Emperor was lively and loyal, while Flame Emperor was calm and cautious. Unknowingly, Chuyu had begun to treat them as her younger sisters. The moment she saw Lu Qingqing completely transform, Chuyu knew that something was wrong, but it was too late to stop it. Seeing Flame Emperor being devoured, Flame Emperor, who was like a sister to Flame Emperor, must have lost control. Since Flame Emperor was dead, Flame Emperor had to live. Chuyu's voice sounded very weak in the midst of the boiling clamor and was quickly swallowed up by the audience's frenzied screams. She didn't get any reaction from Flame. In fact, from the moment Flame Emperor was devoured, Flame Emperor seemed to have turned stiff. The audience who had bet on Lu Qingqing's victory. Tear her to shreds. Victory belongs to us. Yellow Knight Emissary also sat in the VIP seats. He hadn't expected the forbidden medicine to have such astonishing effects. He was still worried that the upper echelons of the Hidden Knight Pavilion would find out about the forbidden medicine. But when he thought of the rolling income that Lu Qingqing's victory would bring, he breathed a sigh of relief. The uproar and clamor in the arena didn't stop. But for Flame Emperor in the arena, in her mind, in her eyes, there was only one scene. The scene of the Emperor pushing him away and being swallowed by Lu Qingqing. On the arena, under the mask of flame, he was panting heavily. Yandu could no longer hear the surrounding sounds, including Chuyu's shouts. Yan's eyes were pitch black. If someone were to look directly at him, they would discover that a sharp golden light had flashed across Yan's black eyes. Emperor, hold on, Yan muttered to himself. She stared at the fully transformed sea octopus queen. After beast transformation, Lu Qingqing had turned into a super sea beast that was more than 3 meters tall. Her limbs and hair had all turned into dark blue tentacles. Lu Qingqing, who had completely gone berserk, was no longer worthy of being called a person. His hair, hands, and feet had all turned into tentacles. His body had turned into the belly of an octopus. Only his head was exposed. Around him, the blue fighting energy controlled by Lu Qingqing kept drifting and sliding. They were like small knives, cutting through Yan's skin, limbs, tearing at her hair, and scratching open wounds on her body. Yan's eyes were red with anger. Drops of blood dripped from the tips of her pitch-black hair. Her skin was white. Blood and snow-like skin complemented each other. She looked sad and beautiful. She clasped her hands together. This kind of aqua blue fighting energy seemed to be the natural nemesis of hellfire. The hellfire was extinguished little by little. Yin suddenly took a big step forward and rushed towards Lu Qingqing. You're asking for death. Lu Qingqing, who had already swallowed a person, mumbled something in her mouth and spat out a huge bubble with a pu sound. The bubble enveloped Yin. Lu Qingqing sucked hard and swallowed Yin into her body. Little bitch, you're so soft and tender. You taste really good. Lu Qingqing stretched out a tentacle, patted her bulging belly, and burped. After swallowing 2 people in one go, Lu Qingqing also felt that the burden on her body was not small. That Yin must have been scared silly. She actually rushed over as if she was seeking death. Lu Qingqing wins. Kong Fei saw that the results of the competition had been decided and flew forward to announce the results. Chuyu's knees went soft, and she knelt beside the arena. Tears blurred her eyes. Yin, in the end, did not listen to her. She actually rushed towards Lu Qingqing as if she was seeking death. Haha, I won. This month competition, I'm... The beast, Lu Qingqing, waved her tentacles ferociously. Just as she was about to go wild with joy, her soft tentacles suddenly froze. She stiffly lowered her head and looked at her round octopus belly. A cold but unusually clear voice said, "Spit out everything that you ate." Boom! The entire first competition area, as if it was hit by a tornado, suddenly exploded. On the arena, the aqua blue fighting energy walls were like a fish tank that was smashed by a heavy hammer, shattering into pieces. Standing on the arena, Kong Fei, who was about to announce the results of the competition, felt his vision darken. A terrifying gust of wind sent Kong Fei flying. His head slammed into the bottom of the stage, and he fainted. Lu Qingqing only felt that her stomach, tentacles, and head were torn apart by a terrifying force that she had never felt before. The audience and the spectator stands did not even have time to see what happened. The entire competition area fell into a panic. The hurricane that flew out from the arena caused the entire first competition area to fall into a state of panic. The hurricane that seemed like it came from hell was rampaging, like a level 19 typhoon passing through, sweeping everything in its path. Such a situation was just like the last time in the Yellow Wings competition area when the Beast King level magical beast evolved. The destructive power of the magical beast's esoteric magic was just like that. After a full quarter of an hour, when the sound of the wind gradually stopped, the audience, who were holding their heads and squatting on the ground, finally raised their heads, trembling. The magic arrays in the arena were almost all destroyed. In the first competition area, everything that could be seen with the naked eye had been blown away. The arena had disappeared, and the spectator stands had also been uprooted by the hurricane. There were severed limbs and wreckage everywhere. And the most miserable was none other than Lu Qingqing on the arena. The body of the huge sea beast that had completely turned into a beast had already been torn into pieces. The severed head and tentacles had long since disappeared without a trace. She had actually died without an intact corpse, and even her bones could not be seen. Heaven's Wing East jumped down from the spectator stands. His eyebrows twitched, and he cursed inwardly, Motherf ** Cur. The first competition area was completely destroyed. Heaven's Wing Arena would have to pay for this loss. This time, he had really suffered a terrible loss. Chapter 646. What happened? What happened just now? What was that? What a strong wind. Those spectators who were lucky enough not to be injured by the broken arms and wreckage all buried their heads, not daring to make a sound. Chuyu was also thrown to the ground by that terrifying power. As for Kong Fei, his whereabouts were unknown long ago. Chuyu followed the dust and smoke that had yet to completely disperse and looked towards the arena where the hurricane had been generated. Just now, in that thrilling moment, only Chuyu was closest to the arena, and only she could clearly see that the shockingly powerful hurricane had come from. It came from Lu Qingqing's stomach. As the smoke gradually dispersed, Chuyu's eyes suddenly widened and she covered her mouth in disbelief. Yin, Emperor. In the center of the arena that had already been razed to the ground, there were two more people. No, to be exact, there was a person standing there, and that person was supporting another person. Yin was supporting Emperor. Emperor's hand was still tightly clutching an empty bottle. Cough, cough. Emperor raised his head with difficulty, his voice weak. Did we win? We won. There was a trace of sobbing in Yan's voice. Witnessing this scene, the entire arena was dead silent. Yellow Knight Emissary, who was lying on the ground with his head in his hands, pointed at the arena as if he was mute, unable to utter a single word. Lost. Lu Qingqing, who had taken a forbidden medicine and completely transformed into a beast, was actually defeated. Just now, what had happened? A hurricane of that scale must have been caused by an extremely powerful magic tool, which was a powerful spell of high-level magic or above. Hadn't Lu Qingqing already devoured Yin Emperor? How could she have been killed in an instant? This was simply a shocking reversal. Chuyu rubbed her eyes and walked to the side of the dumbstruck Tianydong. Second young master, can you announce the final result of the competition? Although the entire arena had been destroyed. But Lu Qingqing had already been killed by an unknown spell, and Yin Emperor was unharmed. This, of course, in the Yellow Wings division, The first place of the finals of the two-person competition in August is the Yin-Emperor combination. Tianyi Dong looked everywhere for Kong Fei, but he couldn't find any trace of him. Tianyi Dong reluctantly announced the result of the competition. As soon as the result of the match was announced, Chu Yu dashed towards Flame Emperor like an arrow. The moment he saw Chu Yu, Yan's body collapsed without any warning. Chu Yu hurriedly took Yan and Huang and sent them to the VIP resting area. As soon as he was sent into the resting area, Chu Yu immediately ordered people to seal off the resting area. She checked Yan's body again and discovered that the magic power in Yan's body had been completely depleted. Not even a bit was left. This was probably related to the last spell she had just released. Chu Yu had been a referee for many years, and she had observed a few matches between Sky Magicians and above in the Skywings division, but she had never seen anyone use a spell like Flame. Just what kind of magic was that? It was actually able to create such a terrifying hurricane from the body of a peak 9th rank sea beast. It tore Lu Qingqing into pieces, and even her corpse couldn't be found. What a reckless way of fighting. As Chu Yu recalled this, he finally understood why Yin had rushed towards Lu Qingqing as if he was throwing away his life. The body of the Sea Octopus Queen was incomparably tough, and most spells were invulnerable. However, if a powerful spell were to be cast from the body of the Sea Octopus Queen, it would be able to break through the body of a magical beast. However, such a method was truly too dangerous. If he was the slightest bit careless, Chu Yu didn't dare to think about it any further. After tonight's battle, Chu Yu had instantly aged several years. These two naughty girls had really been scared to death. Yin and Huang were the same. They were both fugitives who didn't care about their own lives. Chu Yu sighed as she took off Yunsheng's mask. Other than her face, Yunsheng's entire body was covered in injuries. The acid in the Sea Octopus Queen's stomach had burned a large amount of skin. However, this wasn't the most important thing. The current Yin was like an empty shell that had been drained of all energy. She had many fractures all over her body, and she was very weak. Chu Yu fed her some medicine, but the unconscious Yun Sheng couldn't swallow it. Chu Yu's heart was burning with anxiety. She didn't have any method to save Yun Sheng. On the other side, Huang's injuries had also been treated. In comparison, the Emperor's injuries were lighter. Her limbs were only corroded by the acid in the Sea Octopus Queen's stomach. However, due to the bottle of Spring of Life that Yin gave her earlier, Huang's life was saved. Furthermore, she woke up very quickly. Where's Yun Sheng? After waking up, the first thing Dongwang Linger did was to look for Yun Sheng. She is right beside you. However, her situation isn't good. I'm afraid that we can only seek help from Hidden Night Pavilion. Chu Yu tried several precious medicinal herbs, but none of them were effective. Not a single bit of her magical power was left. If the situation was serious, her magical soul would be injured. Chu Yu couldn't think of anyone that could save Yun Sheng. Most likely, it could only be that national expert Su from Hidden Night Pavilion. However, after tonight's fierce battle, Hidden Night Pavilion would definitely suffer disastrous losses. Would national expert Su be willing to save her? We can't seek help from Hidden Night Pavilion. Dongwang Linger wanted to sit up. However, her injuries made it difficult for her to move. Get out of the way. A cold male voice suddenly appeared. Who are you? How did you enter the resting room? Chu Yu was startled. Suddenly, a man appeared in front of her. In order to prevent outsiders from entering, Chu Yu had already set up a magic formation outside. If anyone were to enter, she would definitely know beforehand. However, when this young man arrived, there was no warning at all. This person's strength was definitely very high. However, looking at his age, he didn't seem to be a very powerful expert. Chu Yu took a closer look and saw the appearance of the man clearly. It was a young man that wore a jade-black colored warrior robe. His appearance was so handsome that it caused Chu Yu's heart to skip a beat. Chu had seen countless people. However, she had never seen a man with such an extraordinary temperament. Phoenix eyes, thin lips, a pair of silver-gray eyes. Just by standing there, he was like a king that had descended upon the world, causing others to feel fear. Yi Baiming cough cough. You are Yun Sheng's fiancée, Yi Wangye, right? When Dongwang Linger saw Yi Biming, she let out a sigh of relief. Yi Biming didn't reply. He stared at Yun Sheng and touched her cheek. Yun Sheng's body was ice cold. Yi Biming's eyebrows couldn't help but twitch. Just now, he felt a burst of fear. Long Tu's notification made him hastily end the competition that he was in and rush to the Yellow Wings competition zone. However, who would have thought that what he saw was his two injured subordinates and the messy first competition zone? Yi Biming relied on his intuition to find Yun Sheng's location. What made him shocked was that no matter what kind of situation she encountered, the little wildcat that would always be alive and kicking was currently lying not far away. Chapter 647. Yun Sheng's Dharma soul had suffered a very serious injury. Yi Biming only checked for a moment, then cursed in a low voice. Yi Biming had always known that Yun Sheng's talent in magic was very high. After all, she had half of his Dharma soul. In the world, she was the one and only 5-elemental Dharma soul. After using her new magic to kill a peak of the 9th rank beast warrior, her body couldn't take it anymore. Yi Biming didn't hesitate at all. He took out a bottle of something from his storage ring. It's useless, she can't drink it. Chuyu was just about to remind him. But the next moment, Chuyu and Dongwang Linger suddenly opened their eyes wide. Yi Biming drank the bottle of medicine, then bent down and pressed his lips against Yun Sheng's lips. Because she was unconscious, Yun Sheng's lips were cold and tightly shut. Yi Biming tried, but he wasn't able to send the medicine in. However, he didn't give up. He used his tongue to gently tease Yun Sheng's lips. Perhaps because she felt something, Yun Sheng's throat let out a low moan, and her teeth were gently pried open. Yi Biming patiently fed the medicine in his mouth drop by drop into Yun Sheng's mouth, all the way until she drank all of the medicine. After he finished feeding her, he didn't forget to considerately wipe away the residual liquid at the side of Yun Sheng's mouth. Yi Biming did this series of actions quite naturally. Chu Yu and Dongwang Linger, who were standing at the side and didn't even have a lover, were so pitiful that their faces and ears turned red. They didn't even know where to look. Just now, Yi Biming's action of feeding the medicine, in their eyes, was the most intimate action between lovers. Moreover, Yun Sheng and Yi Biming, one was a handsome guy, while the other was a beautiful girl. The scene of the two of them together was so pleasing to the eye that it made one's nose bleed. Yi Biming carried Yun Sheng. "Where are you taking her?" She was still a little worried. Yi Biming left without looking back. Hidden Night Pavilion. Her body has been greatly drained. She needs both a doctor and a magician to treat her. He's Yun Sheng's fiancé? Chuyu asked. He is Yi Biming from Earthwing's competition zone. He wouldn't harm Yun Sheng. Dongwang Linger was having a headache right now. She didn't know how to tell Qi and Gu Feng that Yun Sheng was taken away by Yi Biming, especially abandoned his feelings for Yun Sheng. Earlier on, when Yun Sheng brought up the topic of marriage, Dongwang Linger was very against it. As such, Dongwang Linger thought that the marriage between Yi Biming and Yun Sheng was arranged by their parents. But today, after seeing Yi Biming's actions, Dongwang Linger realized that this person who was usually as cold as ice, when he met Yun Sheng, he would become as gentle as a puddle of water. Even a blind person could tell that Yi Biming was sincere towards Yun Sheng. Moreover, his feelings for her were very deep. Just that, Yun Sheng, that stupid person, didn't know why, but for some reason, she just couldn't accept it. Sigh, let's not think too much about it. This kind of relationship is the most troublesome. All right, big sister Chuyu, what happened to that Lu Qingqing? Linger understood that Yi Biming wouldn't let anything happen to Yun Sheng. Dongwang Linger rested for a moment and recovered some of her strength. The effect of the water of life was truly amazing. At the instant when she was swallowed by Lu Qingqing, a thought flashed through her mind. Yun Sheng said that if she were to encounter danger, she must definitely drink the water of life. Therefore, the only thing she did at that time was to drink the water of life. Thanks to that water, her life was saved. Although her body was fine, She was still knocked out by the sea octopus queen's venom. When she regained consciousness, she remembered that Yun Sheng was supporting her. Lu Qingqing is dead. Linger, do you know what kind of magic Yun Sheng used at the last moment? Chuyu also didn't know what kind of magic Yun Sheng had used. It wasn't just Chuyu. All the spectators who had witnessed that match on the arena that day. Not a single person recognized what kind of magic Yun Sheng had used. The monthly finals had just ended, and Tianyi Dong ordered people to count the losses in the first division. Tianyi Dong had a belly full of anger and had nowhere to vent it. After the competition ended, because Kong Fei was unconscious, Tianyi Dong could only count the losses himself. After counting, Tianyi Dong was about to explode in anger. He originally thought that the first division had suffered heavy losses, but who would have thought that the hurricane that had come out of nowhere would be so tyrannical? The first, second, and even the third division had been affected to varying degrees. The first and second divisions could be said to have been razed to the ground, and the third division was mostly destroyed. Looking at the situation, the entire division would need to be repaired. In this way, the income from these 2 days of competition alone was far from enough to make up for the losses. Not only that, but all the matches in the Yellow Wings division that had originally been held in these 3 divisions also needed to be adjusted. Needless to say, because of that hurricane that had come out of nowhere, many spectators watching tonight's competition were seriously injured. There were also some very troublesome characters among them, and the medical expenses and settlement expenses for these people weren't small. Because he couldn't find out exactly how that hurricane had come about, Tianyi Dong could only admit that he was unlucky and shoulder all the losses. Damned Hidden Night Pavilion. Damned Forbidden Medicine. This young master will definitely settle this account with you. Tianyi Dong put all the blame on the Hidden Night Pavilion and Lu Qingqing. A servant came forward and reported, "Second young master, there are people outside asking for an audience." "What time is it?" "Don't see them." "Can't you see that this young master is busy?" Tianyi Dong was impatient. "Second young master, it's people from the Zhao state. From the looks of it, they seem to be the Zhao state's main summoners." The servant braced himself. "Main summoners? I'm afraid they're here for the Black Wings division. I'll go see the guests." When Tianyi Dong heard that it was people from the Zhao state, he thought about it and immediately decided to see them. The matter had to be explained from the disappearance of the magical beast half a month ago. After the king-level magical beast escaped, Tianyi Dong ordered many people in the arena to go out and search for it, but there had been no clues. That king-level magical beast seemed to have a particularly outstanding concealment ability, and even the summoners sent by the Zhao state earlier didn't find any clues. In desperation, the Zhao state agreed to send more people. It was just that Tianyi Dong hadn't expected that the Zhao state would actually send a cardinal, and 2 of them at that. The composition of the Zhao state was 1 pope, 3 8 Baron God summoners, and 13 main summoners. Tianyi Dong hurriedly straightened his clothes, then led a group of high-ranking people from the Zhao state out of the Yellow Wings division and went to the outside of the Skywing Arena to welcome the 2 distinguished guests from the Zhao state. Tianyi Dong still attached enough importance to the Zhao state. After all, nearly a month had passed since the magical beast escaped, and there was still no news. His elder brother, Tianyi Dong, had laughed at him for this matter. Seeing that his father, the Lord of Skywing City, was about to return from his travels, Tianyi Dong was also a little anxious. Outside the Skywing Arena, 2 summoners of different stature were waiting outside. Both of them were sitting on flying magical beasts. Both of them were wearing the summoner's robes. Under the night wind, their loose robes fluttered in the wind. Chapter 648. One of them was a man in his 50s, and the other was wearing a mask, so her appearance could not be seen clearly. It could only be seen from her appearance and the way she walked that she was a woman. That female summoner had just raised her head and was sizing up the Skywing Arena. In the darkness of the night, the arena that would cause the entire continent to tremble was less noisy and more peaceful than it was during the day. In the night, the entire arena was like a dormant beast of the night. The female summoner looked at the 2 words Skywings and felt an inexplicable feeling in her heart. Welcome, welcome. I've kept you two waiting. Tianyi Dong saw the masked female summoner and frowned. This woman's mask was very similar to the mask of the Flame Emperor group. They were both ferocious masks that looked like harpies. We're all women wearing those things these days. Tianyi Dong was very unhappy and easily associated it with that competition that had caused him to suffer heavy losses. I'm very grateful that the two bishops have come in person. Tianyi Dong secretly probed the cultivation of the two bishops, but who would have thought that he could not see through their specific cultivation at a glance? He could not help but be shocked. His father had once said that the Zhao state was the most unfathomable existence on the continent, especially that masked bishop whose age and appearance were unknown. Tianyi Dong felt a chill all over his body as soon as he got close to her. Second young master is too courteous. His Holiness the Pope and the Skywing City Lord are close friends. His Holiness had originally wanted to come in person after such a major incident in the Skywings arena, but due to his busy schedule, he specially entrusted me and the ninth bishop to come in person, the man in his 50s said politely. The middle-aged summoner began to exchange pleasantries, and after his explanation, Tianyi Dong knew that the middle-aged man in front of him was the fourth bishop of the Zhao state, and the masked female bishop was the ninth bishop. Both of them had come on the orders of the Emperor Zhao in red to search for clues about a king-level magical beast. This time, the appearance of a king-level magical beast in Skywing City was still very important to the Zhao state. Are you done talking? Let's get down to business. The fourth bishop and Tianyi Dong were still exchanging pleasantries, but the ninth bishop on the side had already retracted his gaze. He suddenly interrupted the conversation between Tianyi Dong and the third bishop. Tianyi Dong furrowed his brows very unhappily. This woman was a little too unreasonable. The fourth bishop, on the other hand, had a good temper and said, "Second young noble, there's no need to be so formal. The ninth bishop has always been like this. She has no ill intentions. It's getting late. Why don't we go to the Xianyi competition zone to take a look?" I heard that the arena has been maintaining the same situation as the day after the match. Seeing the appearance of the fourth bishop, Tianyi Dong understood that although the ninth bishop was ranked behind the fourth bishop, his status seemed to be higher than the fourth bishop's. He led the two of them to the Profound Wings area. The Mysterious Wings division was different from the other three divisions. Due to the special characteristics of the magical beasts, the competition grounds needed to be very vast. Therefore, the Mysterious Wings division was not divided into 9 divisions. Instead, it was directly connected to one division. It was an extra-large competition area the size of a modern open-air stadium. The entire Profound Wings competition zone was bordered by the Earth Wings competition zone and the Yellow Wings competition zone. When the two red-robed bishops walked into the Mysterious Wings competition zone, they only saw a frightening scene. The entire Mysterious Wings competition zone, which used to be flat, had actually disappeared. It was like a large ruin with clods of earth everywhere, and the spectator stands all around had been razed to the ground. This was the power of one of the profound truths of nature, the throbbing pulse of the earth. The magical beast had just broken through not long ago. If it had been a magical beast that had broken through for a long time, the throbbing pulse of the earth would have caused more than just the complete destruction of the venue. It's the throbbing pulse of the earth. That magical beast is a true king-level magical beast. Just as the fourth bishop and Tianyi Dong were talking, the ninth bishop's body silently streaked past. Her body technique was indescribably wonderful, like a shooting star. By the time people realized it, she had already turned into a flash of light. What a powerful body technique. Tianyi Dong couldn't help but put away his previous thoughts of looking down on her. The ninth bishop moved a few times, and she was already standing in an area. She stood in that area, the tip of her nose twitching slightly. That magical beast was standing here at the time? Tianyi Dong's expression was strange. He immediately called for his subordinates and confirmed the ninth bishop's doubts. The ninth bishop crouched down and searched the ground. She suddenly frowned. This magical beast that broke through was pregnant with a beast fetus at the time? Even though a few months had passed, the ninth bishop still managed to find some clues. Wasn't this ninth bishop a little too sharp? Tianny Dong asked again and found that the situation on that day was just as the ninth bishop had guessed. You actually let a female beast that was on the verge of breaking through participate in the competition. The ninth bishop's originally hoarse voice became even more unpleasant. Tianny Dong had never been questioned in such a tone before, and he immediately retorted, "It's just a beast." Before the word bastard could come out of his mouth, a slap came over with a paw sound. Even though Tianny Dong had the body of Saint of War, he only felt his cheeks go numb after being slapped, and there was immediately a fishy taste in his mouth. He spat out a mouthful of saliva, and there was actually a broken tooth mixed in. "You little bitch." Tianny Dong was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices, and his fighting aura immediately exploded. Second young master. Ninth bishop, please calm down, both of you. Seeing this, the fourth bishop hurriedly inserted herself between the two of them, restraining the two who were at loggerheads. Second young master. The ninth bishop has a violent temperament, but she is also the most outstanding summoner in the Zao state. Only she can help you find that missing magical beast. The fourth bishop was so anxious that she was sweating profusely, and she pulled back Tianny Dong, who was about to use force. Ninth bishop, don't forget the Emperor Zao's instructions before we set off. When we're outside, I have the final say. The fourth bishop was also the only person in the Zao state who could speak a few words with the ninth bishop, which was why Emperor Zao had sent her this time. Sure enough, as soon as she heard the words Emperor Zhou, the ninth bishop, who was originally irritable and uneasy, immediately calmed down. Tianny Dong had been slapped in the face, and he felt very sullen. But now he had a favor to ask, and this crazy woman in front of him was the only clue that could help him find the magical beast, so he could only accept it. Seeing that both of them had calmed down, the fourth bishop breathed a sigh of relief. He asked the ninth bishop tentatively, "Do you have any clues about that escaped magical beast?" The magical beast cub in the womb. The ninth bishop was a woman of few words. When Tianny Dong heard this, he was angry with this woman, but also very surprised. It was just a glance, and this woman actually knew the magical beast had just given birth to a magical beast cub. Chapter 649. The outside world only knew that the magical beast had broken through in the arena, but very few people knew that the magical beast had been sent to the arena shortly after giving birth. It had given birth to a magical beast cub less than a month old. After the magical beast had escaped, the magical beast cub had been raised in the arena. Tianny Dong brought the two bishops to the breeding shed in the Darkwings arena. "Come, bring out that little beast that was just born." Tianny Dong ordered someone to bring out that little magical beast. A breeder with unkempt hair and a dirty face came over, holding a thin and weak magical beast in his arms. Due to the lack of milk, the little magical beast was very thin. "Ninth bishop, can we find the missing magical beast if we keep this little guy?" the fourth bishop asked. The ninth bishop's eyes fell on the little magical beast that was so thin and weak that it could die at any time, and a kind of anger suddenly arose in her heart. It was as if this little magical beast had evoked some very unpleasant memory in her. She had just entered the Heaven's Wings arena when she had a very strange feeling. This feeling was as if she was very familiar with this place. But at the same time, she loathed everything here. Although it had been a long time, the Yellow Wings Division's perennial magical beast competitions had made every tile and every wall here taste the blood of magical beasts. The smell of magical beast blood still floated in the air. Countless magical beasts were buried in this piece of land under her feet. Since that's the case, lock this little guy up and wait for its beast mother to come to our door. Tianny Dong waved his hand, and that filthy breeder with an indistinct face quietly glanced at the ninth bishop. When he saw the unusually beautiful silver eyes of the ninth bishop, a strange look appeared in the eyes of the breeder, whose age and appearance were unclear. The hand holding the magical beast cub trembled imperceptibly. But in the end, he still suppressed his emotions and left with the little magical beast in his arms. Since the two bishops are already here and can't find the missing magical beast for a while, why don't this young master play host and entertain the two of you on behalf of my father? The two of you can also watch the various competitions in the Skywings arena and take a tour around Skywing City. Tianyi Dong still had to rely on the help of the two bishops from the Zhao state, so he was very attentive. But hospitality was one thing, and Tianyi Dong still hated that female summoner who had taught him a lesson. The fourth bishop readily agreed, but the ninth bishop regained her previous coldness. She said nothing and walked out with the fourth bishop. The two left the Skywings arena, accompanied by Tianyi Dong. The moon hung high in the night sky. It was quiet in the damaged Darkwings division. At this time, a figure quietly entered the breeding shed. The figure shuttled back and forth for a while. There were a large number of magic cages in the breeding shed of the Mysterious Wings competition zone. Magical beasts of different grades and some newborn magical beasts were imprisoned in them. After searching for a while, the figure stood in front of one of the cages. In the cage, the magical beast cub from before was curled up into a ball. The cage was opened, and a pair of beautiful hands reached in and took the little beast out. The ninth bishop had a complicated expression under her mask. She stroked the little beast, her movements very gentle. But suddenly, her fingers tightened around the little beast's neck. Sensing the danger, the little beast began to tremble. Keeping you will only be a burden. Her fingers tightened, and the little beast's struggles became smaller and smaller. If you kill it, you will never be able to see what it looks like when it grows up. The ninth bishop's beautiful eyes narrowed, and she noticed that there was another person standing in the corner. It was that dirty breeder. The ninth bishop had not noticed him standing there. Shocked, the ninth bishop closed in on the breeder in the next moment. She raised her hand and grabbed at the breeder's throat. Sharp nails flashed on her 5 fingers, and she wanted to take his life with a claw. The man didn't dodge or dodge. A cynical smile appeared on his filthy face that couldn't be seen clearly. The handsome smile that suddenly appeared on that weathered face was so dazzling. The ninth bishop had the illusion that her eyes were burned. Like a flash of lightning, it tore apart the quiet night. A vague but clear smile appeared in the ninth bishop's mind. Who was he? Why did she have such a familiar feeling? In a moment, the ninth bishop's hand did not fall. She slowly withdrew her hand. It is too weak, it must die. If it doesn't die, its mother will die because of it one day. The ninth bishop did not know why she had to explain to a person she had only met twice. She did not want this person to misunderstand her as a cold-blooded and heartless person, even though she had always been so cold-blooded and heartless in the Zhao state. In general, parents are always willing to sacrifice for their children. The man's words fell clearly into the ninth bishop's ears. Her heart suddenly tightened. The ninth bishop staggered a few steps away. As a parent, who the hell are you? The ninth bishop's hoarse voice rose a few octaves. Yun. Before the breeder could finish, the ninth bishop suddenly covered her ears, as if she was afraid to hear that person's name. She panicked and disappeared in an instant. Jiuxing, you really don't remember me. The breeder, who was also Yin Songhai in disguise, sighed. He recognized Hu Jiuxing at first glance. After Yin Songhai and his daughter, Hu Jiuxing left without saying goodbye, Yin Songhai searched everywhere for information about the Zhao state's bishop. Although the Zhao state kept a low profile, Yin Songhai did not spend too much effort to find out about Hu Jiuxing, because in the past 10 years, the Zhao state had only one new bishop, and that was the ninth bishop. The rumors about this bishop were very mysterious. Her name was unknown, her age was unknown, and even her country of origin was unknown. The only thing that was known was that she was a woman, and her summoning ability was very strong. Preliminary estimates suggested that she could at least compete with a king-tier magical beast. This was also why the Zhao state had sent the ninth bishop to deal with the Skywings arena this time. Yin Songhai had not originally planned to come to Skywing City. He had planned to sneak into Penglai. But when he first entered Penglai, he learned a piece of news. There was a king-tier magical beast riot in Skywing City. The whole continent was shocked, and it was said that the Zhao state had already sent people there. Yin Songhai immediately thought that Emperor Zhao could not go to Skywing City in person. Then, in the Zhao state, there was only one person who had the ability to tame a king-tier magical beast, the ninth bishop. After Yin Songhai thought about it, he immediately changed his mind and went to Skywing City to infiltrate the Yellow Wings area. It just so happened that the Yellow Wings area of the Skywings arena was missing a breeder, so Yin Songhai changed his name, hid his face, and infiltrated. Chapter 650. After waiting for half a month, Hu Jiuxing finally appeared. However, Hu Jiuxing did not recognize him. Not only that, but Hu Jiuxing seemed to be very repulsed by him. She did not even want to hear his name. Yin Songhai could not help but suspect that something had happened to Hu Jiuxing. However, he could not immediately tell Hu Jiuxing. He had to find the reason why Hu Jiuxing had forgotten everything. Yin Songhai sighed inwardly. He looked at the little beast in the magic cage and said softly, "Jiuxing, do you know that our daughter was once like the little beast in this cage? But now, she has grown into a peerless talent that makes you and me sigh." In Skywing City, Yi Baiming carried Yun Sheng and went to the stronghold of the Hidden Night Pavilion alone. At this time, the 4 night emissaries were all gathered in one place in the Hidden Night Pavilion. Emissary Huang, how do you explain today's matter? The highest commander of the Hidden Night Pavilion was a national expert with the surname Su. This person had excellent medical skills and was famous in the medical world. At this time, he was so angry that smoke almost came out of his head. Today, Lu Qingqing's competition had shaken the entire Skywing City. The Hidden Night Pavilion had suffered heavy losses. Not only that, but the rumors of the Hidden Night Pavilion using forbidden medicine had also spread like wildfire. The second young master, Tian Dong, had already sent someone to question and warn the Hidden Night Pavilion that if they dared to act recklessly in the arena in the future, they would be banned from practicing medicine in the arena. Emissary Huang knelt on the ground. He no longer had his usual arrogant appearance. His face was covered in cold sweat. All his hopes were completely shattered after witnessing Lu Qingqing being torn to pieces and disappearing without a trace. Using forbidden drugs wasn't a big deal, but using forbidden drugs and losing the competition was fatal to the Hidden Night Pavilion. I also don't know why Lu Qingqing would have such a forbidden medicine. Emissary Huang was completely defeated this time. He originally thought that Lu Qingqing's victory was in the bag, but who knew that at the last moment there was actually a miraculous reversal. However, that Yin is almost done for. Looking at her current state, she definitely won't be able to participate in any other competitions in the future. Huang Yesher wiped off his cold sweat. This time, he had won and lost millions of gold coins. The entire income of the Yellow Wings competition zone this year was completely gone. To the Pavilion of Hidden Night, this was without a doubt a heavy loss. It was equivalent to losing 1/5 of their annual income. Su Dawa's anger was not small. He still had to eliminate the impact of this forbidden drug crisis. Great Master of the Nation, there's someone called Yi Baiming outside who wants to see you. He also brought the monthly champion of the Yellow Wings division, Yan, along with him. Great national expert Su. It's that woman who caused us to lose so badly. Yellow Knight Emissary was feeling apprehensive, not knowing what kind of punishment he would receive. Yi Baiming? He was the player with the best results in the Earth Wings competition zone. Emissary Chunyi, since Su Dagua was overseeing Skywing City, his considerations would definitely be more thorough than Emissary Huang's. He had some impression of Yi Baiming. About a few months ago, Emissary Chunyi from the Earth Wings competition zone had recruited Yi Baiming. He was invincible and could be said to be invincible in the Earth Wings competition zone. Great national expert, Su could not afford to offend such a person. Let him in. Su Dawa gestured for someone to bring Yi Baiming in. Yi Baiming walked in under the gazes of all the emissaries. He was still carrying Yan in his arms. He was dressed in a black robe. His silver eyes were like the sharpest blade. When he swept his gaze across everyone present, Everyone felt their scalps go numb. It was as if a knife had slid across their throats. This was a cold and bloodthirsty man. Although he now belonged to the pavilion of Hidden Night, no one had enslaved him. Great national expert Su sucked in a breath of cold air. "Save her." Yi Baiming's thin lips moved, only spitting out 2 words. His tone was as if he was not here to seek medical treatment, but to give an order. When Emissary Huang heard that tone and saw Yin, he was immediately furious. "Who are you? How dare you speak like that in the pavilion of Hidden Night? The woman in your arms should have died long ago." Bam! There were doctors and warriors present, but no one could see Baiming's movements clearly. A strong wind flashed past, and Emissary Huang flew out like a cannonball, crashing to the ground. Even the word "die" was stuck in his throat. He was already dead. Everyone went forward to take a look. All the bones in Emissary Huang's body had disappeared. He was like a puddle of mud that had been soaked in water. Great national expert Su was shocked. Emissary Huang's bones had been completely shattered by a special technique. Everyone felt a chill run up from the soles of their feet. No one rushed forward. "Save her, or all of you die." Yi Baiming did not move at all. He stood on the spot, and even his hair was not messed up. A red light flashed in his eyes, but it quickly returned to gray. In Yunshang's current situation, just using ancient medical skills or magic to treat her was not enough. She had to be treated with the most brilliant ancient medical skills and light magic. In Skywing City, only the Pavilion of Hidden Night had such treatment conditions. Yi Baiming did not look sideways. He only stared at great national expert Su. He knew very well that the person in charge here was great national expert Su. Su de Guosho was trembling with fear under his gaze. He braced himself and walked forward to check on Yan. There was not a single bit of magic element left in Yan's body. This shocked great national expert Su. Under such circumstances, an ordinary mage would have died long ago, but she had stubbornly survived. Although great national expert Su was very unhappy about Emissary Huang's death, he did not dare to do anything to Yi Baiming. In any case, Emissary Huang had made a big mistake this time. The title of emissary had to be taken away. However, how could he appease the god of death in front of him? Great national expert Su was able to keep watch in Skywing City for so many years without collapsing. He naturally had his own abilities. He was very meticulous. While he was diagnosing Yin, he took the opportunity to size up Yi Baiming. "How is she?" Although the man's voice was still cold, when he mentioned her, his voice was obviously much softer. Looking at his expression when he looked at the woman in his arms, great national expert Su immediately understood. At the same time, he was even more curious about Yan's identity. What was the origin of this woman? She could make a man who seemed to be possessed by the god of death change into a different person. Su de Guosho's gaze fell on the mask of Yan. Yi Baiming's eyebrows were obviously raised. His voice was colder, and his words were full of possessiveness. If the little wildcat was not injured, he would not allow other men to touch her. Chapter 651. I can save her, but I have a condition. You have to help me defeat someone. After weighing the pros and cons, Su Daiwa already had an idea. In order to save Yunsheng's life, Yi Baiming would do anything. The Yellow Wings competition was already a foregone conclusion and could not be reversed. As the person in charge of Skywing City, the most important thing for him was to think of a way to make up for the losses. Recently, other than Yi Baiming, another newcomer had appeared in the Earthly Wings competition zone. His strength seemed to be about the same as Yi Baiming's. However, he was different from Yi Baiming. That person was a tough bone that could not be swayed by force or persuasion. Moreover, this person was extremely ruthless and would definitely heavily injure his opponents every time. Nearly 10 experts from the Hidden Night Pavilion had already been killed by this person. Su Daiwa thought that only Yi Baiming had a chance of defeating this person. Feng Tian, a newcomer from the Earthly Wings competition zone. As long as you defeat Feng Tian, the Hidden Night Pavilion will naturally save your friend. Sure, I'll come and pick her up tomorrow. Yi Baiming turned and left without another word. After taking a few steps, Yi Biming warned, "Don't look at what you shouldn't look at. Otherwise, you'll end up like him." Su Dagua's hands trembled. The thought of peeking at Yin's true face immediately vanished. After an unknown period of time, Yinsheng woke up. When she woke up, she felt her body go soft. She moved and felt something soft and hard under her head. When she turned around, she realized that she was resting on a muscular arm. Her line of sight happened to meet Yi Biming's pair of good-looking fox eyes. Yinsheng was shocked. She reflexively wanted to sit up, but she did not have any strength. Just as she sat up, she felt dizzy. As a doctor, Yinsheng knew very well that this was a sign of exhaustion. "Night Fox, why are you here?" Yinsheng stared blankly. Her black eyes darted around as she tried to recall what had happened earlier. "Before you ask that question, shouldn't you take a look at whose territory this is?" Yi Biming turned sideways and stared at Yinsheng evilly. He had been looking at the wildcat like this for nearly a day and a night. Yi Biming's voice sounded a little different today. He sounded a little tired. Yinsheng looked down suspiciously. He found himself lying on an unfamiliar bed. The bed was exquisite and luxurious. It was obvious that this was not the inn she was staying in. She then looked at Yi Biming. He looked a little different today. He was dressed in a white shirt with his collar open, revealing his sexy collarbone. This scene was too erotic, and Yinsheng suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a set of pajamas on Night Fox. She looked at herself and saw that she had changed into a new set of clothes. "Yi Biming, you dare to take off my clothes?" Yinsheng was embarrassed and angry. She punched Yi Biming in the chest. Unlike usual, Yi Biming did not reveal an evil smile. He frowned. "What are you doing? Master is injured." Behind her, an interrogating female voice suddenly interrupted Yinsheng's actions. A beautiful woman walked in with a basin of water in her hands. When she saw Yinsheng's actions, she quickly went forward and questioned Yinsheng angrily. Yinsheng looked at Yi Biming's white shirt again. There was indeed a trace of red seeping through. Rewinding her memories, she was clearly in the arena, and then she defeated the beast Lu Qingqing. Looking at the woman at the side, Yinsheng felt that she looked familiar. She suddenly recalled. Wasn't this woman one of the members of the Double Dragon team from the monthly competition? Yi Biming, Double Dragon. How smart was Yinsheng? She immediately understood what had happened. It turned out that Yi Biming had already planted someone by her side during the competition. But why would Yi Biming suddenly get injured? In her impression, other than when she was 6 years old, the Yi Biming that Yinsheng knew was like a god of war. No matter what the situation was, even if he met someone like Dugu Xiao, he had never been injured. He was actually injured? Little wild cat, don't misunderstand. Long Shui was the one who changed your clothes. This prince wanted to personally change your clothes for you, but he was powerless. Yi Biming's foxy eyes slightly narrowed as he swept a suggestive glance over Yinsheng's body. His gaze was like a teasing feather. Wherever it landed, Yinsheng would feel a strange numbness all over her body. Yi Biming's eyes darkened. Yinsheng, who was almost 14 years old, was completely different from the little wildcat when she was 6 years old. Due to practicing martial arts and the Jade Marrow technique, Yinsheng's puberty was earlier than other girls. Her skin was also much better than other girls. Su Dagua of the Hidden Night Pavilion had indeed done his best. The small wounds on Yinsheng's body were all healed without leaving a trace of scar. Unlike other girls' snow-white skin, Yinsheng's skin was almost devoid of any pores. There was a trace of redness in the whiteness, and it looked very delicate. When Yi Biming carried her back, the beauty in his arms emitted a faint fragrance. This fragrance was something that no other woman had. When Long Shui was helping her change her clothes, she, who was also a woman, was also endlessly envious of Yinsheng's good skin. Yi Biming's unbridled gaze made Yinsheng feel a strange feeling all over her body. Her breathing also instantly became chaotic. There was an unprecedented, ambiguous atmosphere between the two of them that was constantly spreading. The two of them had forgotten that Long Shui was still present. Long Shui, who was at the side, couldn't help but cough a few times when he saw this. Only then did he break the ambiguous atmosphere between the two of them. "Miss Yun, you can't be unreasonable to Master. In order to save you, His Highness agreed to the Hidden Night Pavilion's conditions and fought with Feng Tian. He almost lost his life." Long Shui stared at Yun Sheng with jealousy and hatred. Fought with Feng Tian? The injuries on his body were caused by Feng Tian? He, as proud as he was, he actually went to beg others? What exactly happened when she was unconscious? Yun Sheng vaguely remembered what happened in the arena. In order to kill Lu Qingqing and save Dongwang Ling she pretended to be swallowed by the Seaborn Queen. In the Seaborn Queen's stomach, she released the dark gale that she had just comprehended. The gale's power was astonishing. When it tore the Seaborn Queen's body apart, it also almost exhausted all of Yun Sheng's magic power. Yun Sheng still felt a lingering fear from the exhaustion of her magic power. It was just that she didn't have time to think about the consequences at that time. The only people who could save her in that state were the great masters of the Hidden Night Pavilion and the magicians. Yun Sheng had thousands of words in her heart that she wanted to say, but when the words reached her mouth, they became, "Night Fox, I really underestimated you. Just one Feng Tian actually made you like this?" Yun Sheng really wanted to bite her tongue. Why did the words change the moment they came out her mouth? Asterisk, asterisk, you have a baby wants a hot scene. Either or asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 652. Yun Sheng, don't be so shameless. Before Yi Baiming could get angry, Long Shui couldn't stand it anymore. "Shut up. I'm talking to your master. Why are you interrupting?" Yun Sheng was unhappy. What was wrong with this woman? She was talking to Night Fox. Why was she interfering? Long Shui, go down and receive your punishment. In the future, you're not allowed to enter without my summons. Yi Baiming's eyes turned cold. Long Shui had crossed the line. Long Guash's powdered face turned white. Her master was angry. She didn't dare to say more and quickly left. The room regained its peace and quiet. "Little wildcat, can you stop saying things that you don't mean?" Yi Baiming sighed and reached out his hand to caress Yun Sheng's cheek. Yun Sheng's eyelashes trembled and a trace of embarrassment flashed across her eyes. He saw through her again. This man damned understood her. He understood that she was acting out of spite and was saying those words out of concern. Although she was both embarrassed and angry, a certain part of Yun Sheng's heart had become very soft. For a moment, the two of them had nothing to say. The silent atmosphere made Yun Sheng's mouth dry and her heart beat faster. "Let me take a look at your wound." Yun Sheng could only use the excuse of looking at his wound to resolve her embarrassment. She ignored Yi Baiming and opened Yi Baiming's wound. She found a near-fatal wound on his chest. Judging from the wound, it was an attack that was enough to penetrate his heart. In fact, the situation at that time was much more dangerous than Yun Sheng had imagined. Feng Tian was the second accident in Yi Baiming's 17 years. As for the first accident, it was the little wild cat in front of him. Yi Baiming had never thought that there would be such an important person in his life. She was so important that he could even abandon his own life. That day, after the Hidden Night Pavilion made their offer, in order for the Hidden Night Pavilion to save Yun Sheng as soon as possible. The next day, Yi Baiming fought Feng Tian under the arrangement of the Hidden Night Pavilion. This was the most intense battle that the Earth Wings competition zone had ever seen since it had been established. Even Elder Yu and Elder Hellion had specially rushed over to show their support. In that match, Yi Baiming and Feng Tian both revealed a side of themselves that no one knew about. Yi Baiming did not say anything, and Yun Sheng did not ask either. Yun Sheng only saw Yi Baiming's wound. It wasn't hard for her to imagine the tragic situation at that time. His fingers couldn't help but tremble. This injury had been healed by magic, which showed how dangerous the situation was at that time. Feng Tian was actually powerful to such an extent. Feng Tian is not as simple as you think. He comprehended profound magic. This is the wound from a match. Yi Baiming pulled Yun Sheng's hand over and placed her soft and cold hand on his burning chest. The wound was very painful, but Yun Sheng's hand made his wound much more comfortable. Yun Sheng retracted her hand. She wanted to withdraw her hand, but Yi Baiming's hand firmly grasped hers, making her unable to resist at all. No matter what, he still lost in the end. Yi Baiming, are you a cockroach? You can even escape unscathed after encountering such a strong opponent. Yun Sheng slapped Yi Baiming's hand away, her cheeks flushed. A trace of ridicule flashed across Yi Baiming's eyes. The little wild kitten's duplicity made him unexpectedly moved. You know you're seriously injured. Why don't you have a good rest? Yinxing noticed that Yi Baiming had obvious dark circles under his eyes. Yi Baiming just smiled and didn't explain further. He had always been a light sleeper and had never laid on the bed with anyone. After the match that day, he was seriously injured. Although Silong wanted to escort him back immediately, Yi Baiming still insisted on going to the Hidden Night Pavilion in person to take Yun Sheng back from the Hidden Night Pavilion. After seeing that Yun Sheng was almost recovered, Yi Baiming carried her back to the stronghold regardless of his injuries. However, when he was about to put Yun Sheng down, the little wild kitten refused to let go for some reason and hugged him tightly. He had no choice but to ask Long Shui to change the little wild kitten's clothes and let Yun Sheng rest on his arm. After a full day and night, the little wild kitten woke up. This was the reason why Yun Sheng saw Yi Baiming when she opened her eyes later. His arm was still numb at this moment. I'll take a dose of sleeping medicine for you. Although your physique is good, you're seriously injured this time and need at least half a month to rest. Yun Sheng looked at the wound. Yi Baiming's wound was well treated. She glanced at Yi Baiming's open lapel and found that there was a suspicious puddle of unknown substance on Yi Baiming's white lapel. It seemed to be her saliva. Yin Sheng's ears burned for a while. She was so embarrassed that she quickly prescribed a dose of medicine and ordered someone to decoct it. Since the punishment incident, she found that the atmosphere between her and Yi Baiming was different. There seemed to be a trace of strangeness, but she couldn't tell exactly what was wrong. The medicine was quickly decocted. After Long Shui was sent away, a simple and honest-looking man delivered the medicine. Yinxing looked at him and recognized that he was one of the double dragons from before. Long Tuesday, seeing the steaming medicine, Yi Baiming's good-looking eyebrows wrinkled. However, the little wild kitten was watching covetously from the side. Yi Baiming had to bite the bullet and drink a few mouthfuls. When it entered his mouth, he found that the medicine was not bitter. It had a sweet taste, and there was a trace of joy between his eyebrows. Yunxing saw it clearly from the side. She secretly despised him in her heart. How old was he? Still afraid of bitterness. In her mind, she couldn't help but recall the scene when Yi Baiming refused to take the medicine when he was 6 years old. As the memory jumped in her mind, Yunsheng's heart skipped a beat. When did she start to silently remember Yi Baiming's preferences? After drinking the medicine, Yi Baiming fell into a deep sleep as expected. Yin Sheng had woken up. He could finally sleep in peace. After tucking Yi Baiming in, Yin Sheng didn't feel sleepy and simply walked out. Not long after Yin Sheng left, a black fighting energy appeared around Yi Baiming, who was lying on the bed. The fighting energy was dense and dense, forming the shape of a strange demonic beast. The moment the demonic beast appeared, Yi Baiming's wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yin Sheng, who had already stepped out of the room, was completely unaware of all this. After sleeping in a room for a day and a night, when Yin Sheng walked out of the room, she realized that it was already pitch black outside. It was nighttime. Yin Sheng looked around and realized that she was in a private residence. This seemed to be an exquisite courtyard where a rich person lived. Presumably, this was Yi Baiming's temporary stronghold in Tianyi City. How much wealth did this guy have to be able to purchase such a luxurious residence in Tianyi City, where every inch of land was worth gold? Yun Sheng was extremely unbalanced. If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have rejected Yi Baiming's gold coins. Miss Yun, this is your magician's robe and magic scepter. A person stood not far from the door. Chapter 653. Longhua of Wandong Gambling House was still holding a clean set of elf mage robes. Actually, Longhua had already secretly checked the situation in the room just now. At that time, Yunsheng was checking on Yi Baiming's wound and did not pay attention to the situation outside. It was already dark outside the room, and the illumination magic array in the room emitted a gentle light. The man was already sound asleep, and the woman's eyes were lowered as she meticulously bandaged his wound. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. Their appearances were already unparalleled in the world, and at this moment, they looked even more beautiful. Longhua felt his eyes moisten, and he could not bear to break this beautiful scene, so he waited outside. Yunsheng raised her head and saw Longhua. "It's you? Manager Long? You and him." Yunsheng suddenly understood that the legendary mysterious behind-the-scenes boss of Wandong Gambling House was actually Yi Baiming. "Miss Yin, Lord Baiming is our fourth Long's master." There were 3 people behind Longhua, and they were Long Shui, Long Feng, and Long Tuesday. These 4 people were all Yi Baiming's confidants and his right-hand men. That day, when his seriously injured master carried Miss Yun back, Longhua already understood his master's feelings for Miss Yun. The master that Longhua knew was a very cautious person. He had never told anyone else about his plans all these years except for young Master Cheng and young Master Bu. Not to mention bringing her back to the stronghold. Since his master was willing to bring Miss Yun back, it meant that he had tacitly agreed that Miss Yun was the future mistress. Since his master had chosen the woman, Longhua also decided that Yunsheng was his future mistress. His master was finally willing to find a woman. Thinking of this, Longhua felt emotional. He found Yi Baiming when Yi Baiming was 7 years old. At that time, his master was an almost autistic child. He lived in seclusion in the cold palace and did not smile. Longhua obeyed Empress Li's orders and secretly taught Yi Baiming magic and martial arts. His master grew at an astonishing speed. But as he grew older, Longhua felt that his master was less like a child. He didn't cry or throw a tantrum. He was shockingly calm at all times. This situation continued until Master was 9 years old. That year, Master suddenly disappeared. Longhua had searched the entire Jade capital but could not find any clues. Just as Longhua was reprimanding himself for failing to fulfill his responsibilities, about a year later, his master suddenly returned to Jade capital. When the master returned, he had already regained his sight. What was even more different was that Longhua saw something different in his master's eyes. Master seemed to have come alive all of a sudden. In the next few years, Master acquired Wanlong Gambling House and gradually began to have his own power. As a subordinate and also an elder, Longhua couldn't help but mutter in his heart that he should find a woman for his master. There was once when Longhua wanted to persuade his master to accept Long Shui. After all, back then, Long Shui was personally selected by his master. Long Tu thought that his master could accept Long Shui. However, his master didn't agree and even reprimanded him. Although Longhua was reprimanded, he still didn't give up. He probed many times and looked for many women. From young girls to young married women, Longhua could be said to have looked for all kinds of women. But without exception, his master rejected all of them. Longhua started to worry that his master had gotten too close to young Master Cheng and young Master Bu and contracted some bad habits. Fortunately, at this time, Miss Yun appeared. Longhua finally saw a hint of something unusual from his master. "Master, it turns out that you still like women." Longhua looked at Yunsheng with almost worshipful eyes. Yunsheng felt goosebumps from his inexplicable gaze. "Steward Long, if there's nothing else, I would like to walk around." Yunsheng was very interested in Yi Baiming's courtyard. The Yun residents had already moved, and Yunsheng was also considering purchasing a new residence. After all, after she graduated from the mainland's elite magician camp, she had to choose a place to stay. The layout of a residence in Tianyi City was very good. "Miss Yin, feel free to walk around. If there's anything you need, just let me know." Longhua was very tactful and immediately retreated. The night was just right. Yunsheng walked around the courtyard, and carefully observe her surroundings. She discovered that there was a secret hidden in this courtyard, and there were large numbers of soldiers lying in ambush everywhere. The magic array here was also set up very cleverly. Yinsheng suddenly noticed a very unfriendly gaze. Long Shui was staring at Yinsheng. "You'd better stay away from Master." Yinsheng frowned. This wasn't the first time Long Shui had provoked her. "You should say this to your master." Yinsheng had a look of ignorance. "You're not worthy of Master." Long Shui stopped Yinsheng. She didn't know what Long Hua and the others were thinking, but Long Shui would never acknowledge Yinsheng's identity. What mistress? As long as Master didn't marry, Long Shui would never acknowledge any woman. "Get out of the way." Yinsheng was also annoyed. Long Shui pulled out her magic scepter and aimed it at Yinsheng. But the moment she was about to pull out the magic scepter, Yinsheng's hand grabbed Long Shui's hand with incomparable precision. Long Shui was about to resist, but she found that her wrist was numb, and there was a pain between her thumb and index finger. The magic scepter was snatched away. Yinsheng was playing with Long Shui's magic scepter in her hand. The whole process was like a magic trick. Yinsheng didn't ignore Long Shui's unharmed hand. If she remembered correctly, the reason why the two dragons withdrew was because Long Shui was attacked. It seemed that Long Shui had already developed disloyalty and betrayed Yi Baiming. Yinsheng didn't mind helping Yi Baiming teach his disloyal subordinate a lesson. "You're called Long Shui, right? Don't forget, if I can kill Lu Qingqing, I can kill you." Long Shui's heart turned cold. She didn't forget that when Long Tu came back, she smacked her lips. Long Shui, who had never been good with words, danced with joy as she recounted the results of the finals in August. Yin Emperor killed Lu Dao. The tyrannical Lu Dao, both of them died. Lu Qingqing's corpse couldn't even be found. All the rumors about the Yin Emperor from before were self-destructed. What Yin Emperor? The Emperor was the main force, and Yin was just a mage in charge of defense. It was all nonsense, all lies made up by this seemingly harmless woman in front of her. After understanding this point, Long Shui shuddered. It turned out that all of this was planned by Yinsheng. She was probably pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger from the beginning. What water elven mage? It was all a pretense. Whether it was Lu Qingqing or her, they were all deceived. The seemingly beautiful and harmless girl in front of her was actually such a shrewd and despicable person. Master was deceived by you. What Long Shui hated the most was that Master fell in love with such a woman. She didn't deserve to be their mistress. "You like Yi Baiming?" Yinsheng caught the jealousy in Long Shui's words. Chapter 654. What a good Yi fox. He gave this old lady another name for no reason. Yinsheng felt sour in her heart. She thought to herself that Night Fox was really popular. These women, were they all blind? What was so good about that guy? Since young, he was a cunning and black-bellied person, and he killed without blinking. If one were to talk about his good points, it was just that he was a little better looking than the average man, and he also had a little more money than the average person. One Qin Lianer was not enough, and there was also Long Shui. The female students of the elite camp all liked him like ants seeing honey. Yinsheng was sour, but in terms of words, she was not at a disadvantage. His taste is really heavy. That master of yours, there are not many women in the world who can stand him. Yinsheng let go of Long Shui. You are not allowed to speak ill of Master. Master is the best man in the world. Long Shui bit her lips. She hated why Master would like a woman like Yinsheng. She originally thought that Yinsheng was a harmless woman like a little white rabbit. Long Shui did not know that this woman was not only shrewd, but also had a vicious mouth. If a man does not like you, his good or bad has nothing to do with you. Yinsheng laughed coldly. Yinsheng's words were like a sharp blade, piercing Long Shui's heart until it was dripping with blood. Yinsheng was right. Master did not like her. His kindness, his gentleness, all of it was only for one person. Long Shui stood dazedly in the darkness, not saying a word. After being disturbed by Long Shui's matter, Yinsheng did not have the mood to look around. She simply returned to her room. On the bed, Yi Biming was still sleeping soundly. This night quietly passed. It was not until the sun was high in the sky that Yi Biming woke up. It had been a long time since he slept so deeply. It seemed that he had not slept like this since his mother had died. Yi Biming turned over and sat up. His movement startled Yun Sheng, who was lying in front of the table. "Have you recovered from your injuries?" Yun Sheng asked with sleepy eyes. She walked forward and checked. She found that Yi Biming's injuries had really healed. "This is incredible. Your self-healing ability is even scarier than the Octopus Queen." Yun Sheng checked Yi Biming's wounds. She magically found that the wounds on Yi Biming's body, which she had thought would take half a month to heal, had all disappeared in one night, leaving only a dark red mark. If nothing unexpected happened, this mark, it would disappear tomorrow. Last time, when she fought against Lu Qingqing's beastified sea octopus queen, Yunxing thought that she had already seen the most abnormal self-healing ability. But now, compared to Yi Biming, she realized that compared to Yi Biming, the sea octopus queen's self-healing ability could only be considered average. At least, the octopus queen was torn to pieces by the astral winds. "Yi Biming, did you fuse with some kind of beast blood when you were young? Or did you eat some kind of heavenly treasure? Otherwise, why is your physique so special?" Yunsheng did not give up. Her little hands were still restlessly touching Yi Biming's chest. She did not notice that when her hands brushed past Yi Biming's chest, a strange red light appeared on Yi Biming's face. Damned little wildcat. Did she know how alluring she looked right now? Yi Biming felt his lower body tighten. His body unconsciously remembered the feeling of holding Yunsheng in his arms a few days ago. Yunsheng had just woken up. Her hair was fluffy, her eyes were watery, and her red lips were slightly pouted. She looked very seductive. Yi Biming had no choice but to grab Yunsheng's hand. His voice was a bit hoarse. "This prince does not know if your physique is special or not. But if you keep touching, this prince will be very happy to do something special with you." Yi Biming's obviously suggestive words frightened Yunsheng. She immediately shut her mouth and withdrew her hand. She was as obedient as a primary school student. It was said that male animals always had strong needs in certain areas when they woke up in the morning. Yunsheng did not dare to put into practice. She was really useless. She couldn't even handle a 17-year-old boy. Yunsheng despised herself in her heart. Something appeared in her hand. Yunsheng took a look and saw that Yi Biming had stuffed something into her hand. It was a piece of water blue, crystal-like soul stone. This stone contained unprecedented magic power from the sea. You were holding this stone in your hand when you were unconscious. If I'm not wrong, it should be a soul stone. Yi Biming handed Yun Sheng the soul stone that Yun Sheng had obtained from Qiu Qingqing's stomach during their fierce battle earlier. Qiu Qingqing had obtained this dissimulation soul stone back then, which was why she had such a special physique. The soul stone of the Seagull Queen? Yin Sheng's heart skipped a beat. She remembered that the little water sprite queen did not have her own magic scepter so far. If she could make this soul stone, which was full of water magic power, into a magic scepter and give it to the little queen, her magic application would definitely reach a higher level. At the end of this monthly competition, she would definitely get a lot of prize money. She could go to the treasure boat to buy some materials for a magic scepter and refine an elven magic scepter for the little queen to use. Last night, because Yi Biming was still injured, Yinsheng did not have the time to ask further. By the way, what was the result of the competition between you and Feng Tian that day? Feng Tian lost, Yi Biming said casually. However, Yunsheng believed that the competition must have been extremely thrilling. Failure was definitely unacceptable to the extremely proud Feng Tian. Yunsheng did not expect that her incident would affect many people. Among them was Feng Tian. The failure of this competition was a huge disaster for Feng Tian. Gu Feng, have you checked clearly? Are you sure that Feng Tian's injuries have healed? In the inn where Elder Hellion was staying, Elder Hellion pulled Gu Feng with an anxious expression. It had been 2 days and 1 night since the duel between Yi Biming and Feng Tian. But Feng Tan, thinking of the competition that day, Elder Hellion could not help but be moved. Apart from being happy, there was also a hint of melancholy in his heart. Yi Baiming and Feng Tian were both top geniuses. Both of them could be directly listed as star cadets. In the past, even one such cadet was a priceless treasure. However, the mainland elite camp now had two of them all at once. Unfortunately, a mountain could not accommodate two tigers. In the competition between Yi Baiming and Feng Tian lost in the end. That was a competition between the top geniuses. Although the whole process of the competition only lasted for 15 minutes, it was still a competition between geniuses. The competition between Yi Baiming and Feng Tian was really unprecedentedly tragic. Even now, Elder Hellion could still remember the events of that day clearly. Chapter 655. When Elder Hellion received the news that Yi Baiming and Feng Tian were going to compete, he hurried over to the Skywings arena. Most of the students from both camps had also rushed over after hearing the news. They wanted to see for themselves which of the two strongest people from both camps was stronger and weaker. On the arena, the two young geniuses stood facing each other. Elder Hellion and Elder Yu both broke out in cold sweat. Elder Yu laughed dryly. Elder Hellion, who do you think will win and who will lose in this duel? This duel looked like an ordinary one, but in reality, it was the duel that both camps were most concerned about. From a moment Yi Baiming and Feng Tian entered the Skywings arena, this duel was bound to happen sooner or later. There were two conditions for the duel between the Magic Elite Camp and the Warrior Elite Camp. One was that one of them would become the King of Combat, and the other was that one of them would break through first. However, Feng Tian and Yi Baiming were the current holders of the highest winning streaks in their respective camps. Whoever lost this duel would lose the King of Combat, and the winner would have a very good chance of becoming the King of Combat. Moreover, Feng Tian and Yi Baiming were both well-known figures in this generation's elite camp, so the two elders were very concerned about the outcome of this duel. Even the other students from the elite magician camp and the elite warrior camp had all rushed over. Qi and Gufeng were also watching from the sidelines. This duel had tugged at everyone's heartstrings. Yi Baiming and Feng Tian, one using combat techniques and the other using magic. Like two fierce tigers, the moment the referee announced the start of the duel, the two's momentum was like a sudden clap of thunder. Dazzling magic and new combat techniques. The two left the ground at the same time and fought in the air. For a moment, the audience was dazzled, unable to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. About a quarter of an hour after the duel started, the two were locked in a fierce battle. Suddenly, the situation took a turn. Feng Tian started chanting, and a gray light flashed on his magic scepter. A magic chain as thick as an arm suddenly appeared and wrapped around Yi Baiming. Two gray lines represented the secondary magic attribute, space-time magic. High up in the sky, everything suddenly stopped. The wind in their ears, the clouds in the sky. Yi Baiming was unable to move and could only be slaughtered. The students of the elite camp were all dumbfounded at this moment. Even Elder Yu's expression couldn't help but change. No also didn't expect that Feng Tian, who was only a saint magician, would actually know profound magic, space-time seal. It looked like Yi Baiming was bound to lose. In the air, Feng Tian looked arrogantly at the immobile Yi Baiming. He wanted to defeat the geniuses of the elite camp in front of everyone. From today onwards, there would only be one genius in the elite camp, and that was Feng Tian. You won't be able to move. No one below the martial sage realm will be able to break my space-time seal, Feng Tian said proudly. Space-time seal was his profound magic. He boasted that he was a genius because he had comprehended his own profound magic when he broke through to the saint magician realm. Although the effect and range of this profound magic was very small, it was enough for Yi Baiming, who was only 10 meters away. I want to use magic to shatter your chest in front of everyone. If you don't want to die, you can beg for mercy. Feng Tian raised his magic scepter and used the sharp end of the scepter to draw a cross on Yi Baiming's chest. Feng Tian's magic scepter was fused with a small amount of purple gold and was incomparably hard. It could even break a high-grade armor, let alone a mere body of flesh and blood. Oh, if you want to hear me beg for mercy, then come closer. I don't want to beg for mercy in front of so many people. Although his body was restrained, Yi Baiming still had a satisfied expression on his face, as if he was just looking at the scenery in the sky. Death was at hand, and he was still afraid of losing face. Feng Tian snorted. He was not afraid that Yi Baiming could do anything. Pressing the end of the magic scepter against Yi Baiming's chest, Feng Tian moved closer. Yi Baiming's voice lingered in his ears. Let me tell you a secret. This king was able to crack your profound magic when I was 11 years old. Feng Tian was shocked, and the magic scepter in his hand pierced Yi Baiming's chest. He did not believe that it was impossible for someone to break through the space-time seal. There was a distortion in the air, and the magic chains on Yi Baiming's body all shattered with a bang. He was not afraid of Feng Tian's magic scepter and took a step forward. A beast-like light flashed in his eyes as he walked forward step by step. Feng Tian seemed to have seen the most unbelievable thing. At that moment, Yi Baiming was like a terrifying magical beast, completely unafraid of pain. It was as if he was already a sky magician. However, Feng Tian realized that his feet suddenly could not move. This feeling was as if someone had cast a space-time seal on him instead. Impossible, this was absolutely impossible. For the first time, fear surged in Feng Tian's heart. However, from the eyes of the spectators in the spectator seats, they did not notice anything strange about Feng Tian at all. Yi Baiming smiled cruelly. Fresh blood dripped from his chest. It was just a spell that could break through the space-time seal. What was there to be proud of? This king had already learned it when he was 7 years old. Bang! A punch landed on the bridge of Feng Tian's nose. Feng Tian only felt intense pain. His face looked as if it had opened a soy sauce shop, and blood and snot gushed out. Yi Baiming did not use his battle energy. He actually punched Feng Tian again and again. This punch is to teach you a lesson for looking down on a little wildcat. This punch is to teach you a lesson for offending this king. This punch after punch, Yi Baiming only stopped when Feng Tian could not take it anymore and begged for mercy. At that time, Feng Tian had already been beaten until he did not look human anymore. Yi Baiming kicked Feng Tian down from the sky and landed face first on the ground. Yi Baiming's chest was bleeding nonstop, but he did not fall down. The competition ended just like that. Except for Feng Tian, no one knew what these two geniuses said to each other. Bring Feng Tian back immediately. Elder Hellion turned pale with fright. Yi Baiming's punch was astonishing, and his strength was even more powerful than Elder Gue Yu's. Master, Silong rushed forward, and Long Shui wanted to go forward to help Yi Baiming. Go to the Hidden Night Pavilion. Yi Baiming's face was a little pale, and he ignored the concerned Elder Yu and the others. In front of a group of mainland magic elite camp students with complicated expressions, Yi Baiming left with Silong. Elder Hellion immediately asked Gu Feng to give Feng Tian emergency treatment. After the examination, even Elder Hellion, who was used to seeing storms and waves, could not help but complain. Yi Baiming was really ruthless. Chapter 656. Yi Baiming's punches didn't seem like much, but they were all aimed at the vital parts. Although the injuries didn't seem serious, they were actually the most difficult to treat. Gu Feng's light magic and Elder Holian's magic potions took an entire day and night to treat Feng Tian. According to Gu Feng, Feng Tian's life was no longer in danger, but after waking up, Feng Tian didn't say a word and just sat there. It was the same for a few days, which made Elder Holian's hair stand on end. He was the one who brought Feng Tian out for training. If something really happened to Feng Tian and a good seedling was destroyed, he didn't know how to explain it when he returned. He was deeply afraid that this rare genius of the continent's magic elite camp would be beaten silly. If that happened, everything would be ruined. Feng Tian, of failure is nothing. Only by intervening and facing failure directly can one become a true powerhouse. Elder Hellion advised earnestly and nagged Feng Tian every day. However, Feng Tian didn't listen to a single word he said. Elder, he's really fine. At most, he can't forcefully use magic for these few days. Everything else is fine. Gu Feng was also in a terrible fix. These few days, things really kept happening. Not only Feng Tian, but even Yun Sheng was missing. When he asked Dongwang Linger, she only said that Yun Sheng met an acquaintance and had something to do at the last minute, so she couldn't come back. She looked very worried. Gu Feng was also worried. However, Dongwang Linger refused to say where Yun Sheng had gone. Elder Hellion even asked him to face Feng Tian's weird temper every few days. Gu Feng felt vexed just thinking about it. After being urged by Elder Hellion, Gu Feng had no choice but to follow Elder Hellion to check Feng Tian again. When the two entered the room, they found that there was no one in the room. Where did Feng Tian go? Gu Feng and Elder Hellion looked at each other. Feng Tian was wandering aimlessly in Skywing City. He lost. Since he was a child, he had never lost. But this time, he had completely lost. He had lost to Yi Biming in front of everyone. Feng Tian couldn't accept all of this. Every day, when he closed his eyes, he would remember the scene of his defeat. Yi Biming's words were like a shadow that couldn't be driven away. When he was 11 years old, he was already able to break the space-time seal. How could that be? That was his profound magic, the profound magic that he was so proud of. But in front of Yi Biming, it was worthless. It turned out that there was such a huge gap between him and Yi Biming. Who is this? Isn't he the #1 genius of the magic elite camp, Feng Tian? Feng Tian passed by a restaurant. A few people walked out from inside. Leading the group was Chun Lianer and a few female magicians. Feng Tian ignored him and walked over. Feng Tian, stop right there. Chun Lianer was in a bad mood. For that stone, she had been dealing with Tian Yidong for a long time. That lecherous pervert had been using all sorts of excuses to invite her out recently. Whenever they met, he would try to get his hands on her. Chun Lianer could only be perfunctory for the sake of his power. Today, it was the same again. Tian Yidong asked her out for a meal and took advantage of the alcohol to grope her. Chun Lianer only left after getting him drunk. Coincidentally, she met Feng Tian at this time. Chun Lianer and Feng Tian. Speaking of which, Chun Lianer's seniority was 3 years earlier than Feng Tian's. According to normal seniority, Feng Tian had to respectfully address Chun Lianer as senior sister. However, because Feng Tian's strength was outstanding, he had never looked at the senior sisters and senior brothers of the continent's elite camp. Previously, he was strong, so everyone tolerated it. But recently, he had been defeated by Yi Biming. The students of the continent's magic elite camp began to talk behind his back. Moreover, Feng Tian had recklessly injured Yi Biming. Chun Lianer had long wanted to teach him a lesson. Now that she had the opportunity, she naturally wouldn't miss it. As long as she suppressed Feng Tian, she would be the #1 person in the continent's magic elite camp in the future. She winked at the female magicians on both sides. The two female magicians understood and blocked Feng Tian's path. Everyone in the magic elite camp knew that Feng Tian had been seriously injured and couldn't use magic power for a short period of time. Feng Tian, how dare you ignore senior apprentice Sister Chun when she calls you? We want to teach you a lesson for a long time. You're just a newcomer. What are you so arrogant for? The two female magicians, one on the left and one on the right, provoked Feng Tian verbally. Feng Tian was still expressionless, as if he couldn't see or hear it all. Seeing that Feng Tian was indifferent, one of the two grabbed Feng Tian's magic scepter and handed it to Chun Lianer. You're just a piece of trash. Why do you need a magic scepter? Chun Lianer looked at the 4 soul stones on Feng Tian's magic scepter and mocked. Take it back. Feng Tian lowered his head, and his voice was terrifyingly low. Come and take it if you have the ability. Chun Lianer was full of confidence with the bracelet in her hand. Moreover, Feng Tian couldn't use magic power at all. Chun Lianer mocked and released a wind sickle. The wind sickle scraped across Feng Tian's cheek and a scar immediately appeared on his face. Feng Tian's head was still lowered. He clenched his fists, but he couldn't gather any magic power in his body. Restrain him. Chanlina ordered the two female magicians to restrain Feng Tian and forcefully drag him into an alley behind the restaurant. She played with Feng Tian's magic scepter and pressed the body of the scepter against Feng Tian's chest. Her beautiful face was full of resentment. Feng Tian, you can only blame yourself for hurting Yi Baiming. That man isn't someone you can touch. In Skywing City, apart from the Skywing Arena, one couldn't kill people at will. However, Chun Lianer was confident that she had Skywing E's support and wasn't afraid of killing someone. She wanted to make Feng Tian disappear completely before he recovered. Feng Tian snorted. I heard that man was once your fiancé. It's a pity that you broke off the engagement at the last minute. Shut up. Chun Lianer hated it the most when people mentioned her marriage with Yi Baiming. It's not up to you to lecture me on my matters. Chun Lianer had already regretted countless times. Back then, she was young and insensible and coveted the position of crown prince consort, which was why she gave up on Yi Baiming. Chun Lianer also attributed Yi Baiming's indifference to her breaking off the engagement back then. Chun Lianer believed that Yi Baiming still had feelings for her. It was only because of that little bitch Yun Sheng's seduction that Yi Baiming was distant and cold to her. Feng Tian had touched her taboo. She was furious and ruthlessly stabbed the magic scepter into Feng Tian's chest. The scepter pierced through Feng Tian's chest without any resistance. Feng Tian was only a mage, and his physique couldn't compare to Yi Baiming's monstrous physique at all. Chun Lianer's stab was clearly to kill Feng Tian. Once Feng Tian died, the continent's elite magic camp would probably put the blame on the continent's elite warrior camp and Yi Baiming. A special event in the small theater. In the dead of night, Night Fox looked at a certain wild cat affectionately. Little wild cat, it's late at night. Everyone's rolling into sheets. Should we also do something special? For example, canvassing for votes for Big Fuzzy. Chapter 657. Lian, did you hit him too hard? He seems to be dead. The female sorcerers on both sides were a little afraid when they saw Feng Tian fall to the ground. Usually, they would ostracize the newcomers at most, but they had never killed their colleagues with their own hands. If the elders found out about this, they would probably be expelled from the mainland's elite sorcerer camp. What's there to be afraid of? Feng Tian offended many people. It's not a big deal that he was assassinated on the streets. Chun Lian did not care. Feng Tian was arrogant. When he was competing in the arena, his attacks were also extremely vicious. He had injured many opponents early on, so it was not rare for him to be killed. She carefully pulled out Feng Tian's magic scepter and wiped the blood off it. Then, she checked Feng Tian's breath and confirmed that he was dead. She then left the scene calmly with the two girls. What Chun Lianer did not know was that her earlier actions had all been seen by a certain person in a certain room of the restaurant. That person was sitting by the window and holding a wine cup in his hand. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s with a beautiful beard. He was neither tall nor thin, and his eyes were majestic. Sitting opposite him was Steward Chu. There's actually such a murder in Tianyi City. The middle-aged man looked at Feng Tian, who was lying on the ground. Blood was still seeping out from under Feng Tian's body. Soon, he would lose too much blood. At that time, even the divine medicine would not be able to save him. He had some appreciation for the young man. Just now, at the critical moment of life and death, the young man did not have the slightest intention of begging for mercy. That woman is from the mainland's elite sorcerer camp. It must be an internal struggle. Steward Chu frowned unhappily. She also recognized Chun Lian, as the woman who had appeared in the treasure boat earlier. She just did not expect that she would act so delicate in front of the eldest young master, but she was such a ruthless person behind the scenes. If such a person really married into the City Lord's mansion, the City Lord's mansion would probably be in chaos in the future. Steward Chu was already thinking in her heart that no matter what, She could not let Chanlian cheat that stone from the eldest young master. Fine, since we've seen it, let's go save that young man's life. The middle-aged man's figure flashed. It was unknown what kind of movement technique he used, but he had already moved from the third floor to the dark alley in an instant. So this is what death feels like. When Chanlian stabbed the magic scepter into Feng Tian's chest, he could feel his life force slowly draining away. When he completely fell into darkness, Feng Tian felt a chill around his body. However, just as Feng Tian thought that he would lose his life on the streets today, a strong dou qi entered his body. His heart, which had stopped beating, started beating again. When Feng Tian woke up, he saw two unfamiliar faces. This man and woman were obviously not ordinary people. Feng Tian could not recall when he had met such people. One of the middle-aged men had just retracted his palm from his body. Just now, the one who had sent internal energy into his body was this man. Why did you save me? Feng Tian's first sentence was not gratitude. Instead, it had a hint of resentment. He had been defeated by Yi Baiming in front of countless people. Feng Tian only felt that he had lost all his face and did not want to live in this world anymore. Otherwise, even if he had lost all his magical power, Chanlian would not have been able to succeed so easily. The beautiful woman at the side was displeased. What kind of tone is that? The city lord personally saved you, and you actually dare to question him? In Skywing City, only the city lord of Skywing City could be addressed as the city lord. Feng Tian could not help but look sideways. You're the city lord of Skywing City, Skywing Venerable. The city lord of Skywing City was very famous on the continent. He and Elder Gau of the continent's warriors' elite camp were known as the two great martial emperors of the continent. It was rumored that both of them were already peak martial emperors and could break through to the martial god realm at any time. However, because he did not appear on the continent all year round, there were very few people who had seen Skywing Venerable. It was also very difficult for Feng Tian to associate the middle-aged man in front of him with the famous Skywing Venerable. How dare you call the city lord by his name without permission? The beautiful middle-aged woman who accompanied Skywing Venerable was Steward Chu of the treasure boat. The city lord of Skywing City's whereabouts were erratic. Not long after he returned to the city, he learned that his eldest son, Skywing Ta, had gotten drunk in a restaurant. He had originally brought Steward Chu with him to denounce him. Who knew that he would encounter such a scene? Lana, it's fine. The city lord of Skywing City waved his hand. Young man, your injuries are not serious, but you have the heart to die. Tell me, why don't you want to live anymore? When the city lord of Skywing City was treating Feng Tian, he had already noticed that Feng Tian's cultivation was very astonishing at such a young age. As long as this young man persevered, he would definitely become one of the top sorcerers on the Boundless Continent in the future. I've lost. Feng Tian has never tasted defeat in his life. Since I've lost, I no longer have the intention to live an ignoble life. Feng Tian hung his head dejectedly. Victory and defeat are common in war. If you lose this time, you just have to win the next time. Skywing Venerable could not help but find this young man's temperament amusing. I can't win. That person is too strong, Feng Tian blurted out. If Yi Baiming was just an ordinary warrior, Feng Tian still had absolute confidence that he could defeat him in the future. However, the words that Yi Baiming said in his ear that day made Feng Tian shudder. As early as the age of 11, he could break the profound magic space-time seal. Yi Baiming was definitely not a scammer. Not only was he a warrior, but he was also a sorcerer. Yi Baiming was actually a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts. When he realized this, Feng Tian's last bit of confidence was completely shattered. Oh, maybe I can give you some pointers. You're a sorcerer. Maybe there's a place where you can obtain higher magical power, the Skywing City Lord said in Feng Tian's ear. When Feng Tian heard this, a few small wrinkles appeared between his brows. Is what the City Lord said true? Of course it's true. When you break into that place, you'll understand. After saying that, Skywing Venerable did not say anything else, and disappeared into the alley with Steward Chu. Feng Tian was deep in thought. Just as Feng Tian was deep in thought, he felt the Dharma soul in his body suddenly become active. Feng Tian was puzzled. After carefully examining it, his expression suddenly became joyful. He was very familiar with this feeling. Breakthrough. He was about to break through. The bottleneck of breaking through to become a sky mage had been stuck in a stalemate for 2 years, but Feng Tian had suddenly comprehended it in this accident. It was likely that he had an epiphany after experiencing life and death and a crushing defeat this time. The timing of a breakthrough was extremely important. If he missed it, he might have to wait even longer. Feng Tian did not dare to hesitate any longer. He immediately sat down cross-legged and meditated in the secluded alley outside the bustling city. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.